Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah.
We got it tonight. We're winning by at least 20 tonight. I can feel it.
At least
I need Cleveland to understand. We've been used to losing game ones. Like, even when Brown was here, we lost several game ones, and we were all right. Cleveland, relax. We're all right.
He was right.
He predicted that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And here we are on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. The Duke of Knee Jerk.
Yeah.
I can't.
We got to start with you.
I can't believe
you
it.
jumped off the Cavs bandwagon after game one.
What is wrong with you?
Are you back on after game two?
Oh, it's 50-50, though.
Wait a minute. Why did you
50-50
jump off?
Man, it was looking trash, bro. Like, when you get new information like that, you gotta that was DEFCON 4. I'm like,
But you aren't you from? Like, ain't you been a fan of Cleveland sports?
Hey, look,
well, you're
man.
still rooting
No.
for him.
No. You got to ride or die with this.
No.
You ride or die with to the wheel.
Hey,
You're the same. You're the same one that had everybody drinking the 6-0 Kool-Aid.
I told you I learned from the 6-0 Kool-Aid. That I drink about 3 and 3
don't be
Pepsis and
Listen.
Cokes.
Don't be that guy. Don't be the Cleveland
my
fan
God.
that says bad things about them. Like, they not going to win nothing, but be happy when they do because you don't want to be let down.
Well, you still got to be called like you see it.
Look,
But,
if I don't see it, that's like,
but
man.
this is the NBA. We've seen this a million times before, and we'll get to it in just a second. We'll say hello to Earl, who's producing today. We got rid of Mikey McNuggets. He's out doing I don't know what in Texas right now.
Just
well,
out
we
there
do know
moving
what, but
around.
I'm not going to say it on the
Yeah,
air.
just moving around.
He's making moves.
He making moves, all right.
Yeah, he is. Earl, how you doing, buddy?
I ain't like Mikey, I tell you that.
No?
He told
You're not-
us he
you're
was
not living
dead
that life?
asleep. I say, man, how's Texas? How's the weather?
Yeah.
He say, man, I couldn't tell you. I got to the hotel and passed out. I just bet you did.
not what I
You know
heard.
what he did? He had some Tylenol PM last night.
Yeah.
He did.
Oh man,
I'd say he worked hard and passed out.
Yep.
That's probably true.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Get
Big
up,
facts.
he had them Tylenol chewables. You know, McNugget's stomach funny.
Yeah,
He looked like he got the adolescent stomach. You know,
He does look like
they're
that.
like he just be like, yeah, I can't do that. My stomach is messed up. You like,
Mom sent him some gummy Tylenol in the mail.
Probiotics.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, all right, let's get to my bet to start off, and then we'll get right back into the Cavs here, who looked great last night.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
I stupidly listen. Baseball's my strength. I think I'm 10-5 picking baseball games, and I stupidly went away from that and went with my with Donovan Mitchell over on the points, which he didn't hit.
Wow, yeah, that was crazy. I was sitting there thinking, I thought that was a definite guarantee.
Yeah, he was the assist.
You really thought that? I thought. See, I went the other way. I said he wasn't gonna get it. I think he
you were
needed
right.
33 to 32.
I should have listened to you. Go ahead, Earl.
Hey, Ohio, Bet Rivers Online Sportsbook is the place to be for every single game. Now is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportsbook when you use deposit code SPORTS. You'll receive a second chance bet up to $500. Get in on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball, hockey, and help you win big. Check out BetRivers.com or download the BetRivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts. Hey, Boy, I took the over.
You took the over with me on Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
We were both. We should have known. We should
I
have.
took the
Tyvus was
under.
smart there.
I took the under.
You should have known like he was going to want to get the other guys involved.
Yeah.
And he did. And he had obviously a Cavs high 13 assists. He was great. We'll get more into that in a minute. By the way, I'm very excited about today's podcast, the edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. I spoke with the great Joe Thomas this morning. We talked for almost about 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and the podcast it just went out. So check it out later after the TV show's over. Make sure you check it out. It was a great talk. We talked about Josh Gordon.
How good of a
talked about
guest
Watson.
is he?
He's the best.
Yeah,
He's the best. He's a mensch, as my people would say.
Yes,
You know what a mensch? You guys know what a mensch
salt
is?
of the earth.
No.
Salt of the earth. There you go.
Look at that. Boy,
Yeah, look at you.
boy,
Know
look at you.
some Hebrew.
Look at you.
Let's not act like I don't got a bunch of time on my hands, but I really don't.
You be on, you talk. Everybody be talking about me being somebody that's working a lot.
Yeah,
That's you.
He's a hustler, no doubt. So anyway, it's a great interview with him. He had some really interesting things to say about Deshaun Watson, especially, and Josh Gordon. I asked him about Kenny Pickett. He's very high on Kenny Pickett.
He likes Pickett?
He does like Pickett.
He has small hands.
Yeah. You know what they say about guys with small hands.
Size matters.
Y'all,
Yeah,
Remember that
just ask. No, I won't say that.
Yeah.
All right. But my picks for today, I got 2 picks. I'm going 2-0. The Marlins minus 105 against the Giants. They're at home. The Phillies minus 120 at the White Sox. Clevenger pitches for the White Sox. He's got, if you look at his basic, stats that everybody looks at, his ERA and his win-loss total, he looks good. But he's a fraud. The advanced analytics on him show he's due to blow up. The Phillies are going to beat him up today. Giants stink on the road. Marlins are playing pretty well. They've won 6 of 7, I think, and have given up 4 or less runs in 5 of their last 6 games. So Marlins and Phillies will both win today. All right, guys. So last night, everybody's a little antsy. We know the Cavs got to win after they sucked in game 1. And first quarter, good quarter, right? Back and forth, trading, close game. Second quarter, Cavs went bananas.
Yeah. You know what?
That was the game, second quarter.
You know what? I purposely wore this shirt today because it was what needed to be done. It was one of the reason I took the under on Donovan is because I thought Donovan has to see what he has on this team. First game 1, he gonna let you know, all right, listen, I'm that guy. I've done it with Utah. I've taken over this thing. Yeah. But I need you guys to grow. In order to let this team grow, you got to take a step back and let them go one time, see what they got. And Darius Garland obviously had that. I ain't going to say he had a bad first game, but he just wasn't the Darius Garland that everybody was used to.
Oh, he did have a bad first.
It was not bad.
The second half, he was terrible.
The second half was terrible.
He was terrible in the second half. I mean, he was fine. In the first half, he was fine.
That's what I'm saying.
He was fine. Second half, he was weird.
Playoff standards, he was trash.
For him. Yeah. We have high standards for him.
Okay.
Especially the second half, he was trash.
Y'all just want to go there, huh? When the whole team was trash.
Whole team was trash.
Except Mitchell. All right, so coming into this game, Donovan had to see what he had. He had to see. I need to see if Darius is that guy. So he gave him that opportunity, and Darius looked like that dude. And the dude that I thought that he was that guy. I mean, he was hitting big shot after big shot. And then on top of that, he was getting his teammates involved. He looked like the guy that we seen last year in the play-in and all of those games that we came to love. I thought Evan Mobley had a good game. Obviously, I think he had I want to say he had a double-double. Yeah.
And Jared Allen was 1 point shy.
Yeah, and then I liked the Karis LeVert off the bench.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He started the second half. It was big. I think he had 20 maybe. 24, he had 24 points.
And he shot it well. Everybody shot well.
Yeah, so it was one of them.
Jetty.
It was one of them bounce back games that you needed to see. This team got some fight in them. Obviously, the Knicks gave up in the end, and that's what you want. You want a team that's going to compete and play to the end of the whistle. It was no let off from the first to second half. If they play like that, this game could be over in 5.
Darius Garland last night was him.
There it is. You used it correctly. There it is. He played like a man who felt embarrassed by game 1 and said,
according to y'all, he was.
Yeah, man. He played like his favorite Instagram model was in the audience waiting for him, ready to go. He did his thing. By the way, I wore this. I didn't have the NBA Jam joint, but I wore this. This is the barbershop, Cleveland Cavaliers City Edition.
Look at that.
You see them saying people.
Look at that.
Y'all don't got this one. I just wear. Win, lose, or draw, I was gonna wear it anyway because it's fire. But I really got up and wore it today because they played well. But no, listen. I go to JB, man. Shout out. We killed JB, and I'm a person who says if I'm gonna kill you one time for doing something bad, when you do something good, I gotta give you your credit. And JB, I thought, had the correct temperament. I thought he cleaned all his rotation stuff up. I thought that he was brilliant for what he did in terms of Isaac Okoro started it off 2 turnovers, 2 fouls.
See ya.
Come on, sit beside me. Come talk to me. Like your grandma used to do when you used to be doing too much.
Come here.
Come here. Sit right here. Sit right here. Don't you move either. Don't you move. So, yeah, that's what they did to Okoro. They got him up out there. And then Karis LeVert, boy. Listen, Karis LeVert came in like the mask of Zorro. He came in. I'm like, who's this masked defender? Who's this guy? He's buckle swashing. He in threes. He's getting to the rack. He playing like he's just playing like he played like he was from New York. Like he was at Rutgers. He was like, no, I understand Darius Garland did his thing, but this is me. I'm not him. I'm him's buddy. So I'm him's boy. So he got involved
Him
Yeah.
downstairs.
and it was just a, the intensity. We got so much to get into, but I think JB, he has a very tough, answer, a tough situation now. When you play that well with Karis LeVert, and you look like you got Karis, you look like you got Jetty,
I know he didn't have a big game, but I was glad that Danny Green played.
Yeah.
and Danny
Play
Green,
him a little bit. That's fine.
And if he hit 1 3, could have hit another 3, but stepped out of bounds.
Yep.
So it looks like those are his 3 guys coming off the bench. And does he throw Karis LeVert in that starting lineup for moving forward?
Yeah.
That's a huge question.
To me, I don't even know if it matters if he's in the starting lineup. It matters if he's in the closing lineup.
Yeah.
Right? Especially in a close game. Like, I don't want a Coro or Jetty with the starting 4. I want Karis LeVert. And Karis LeVert is the only player on the Cavs bench that has the ability to be great at times. Like, he's not always great, but he's the only one on their bench that has the ability to be a great, especially on the offensive end. And when he plays like he did yesterday, obviously they're a way better team.
Yeah.
And that's why a big part of the reason they won.
Isn't he the one? Didn't he have a 50-point game this season? Yeah.
Was it this season?
Wasn't it this season?
Yeah, it was 50 against in the Boston Garden.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Oh yeah, it sure was.
Yeah.
So he show you in big moments that he gonna play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him in the starting lineup because I think you still need that type of firepower off the bench when Darius and Donovan sit down. But Coro got to do this. You got to do something, man.
He's playing with no confidence whatsoever.
And that's sad because right before he got hurt, remember he hit the game
been playing
winner
better,
and all
yeah.
of that, and he was
Yeah.
doing well. So I don't know what's happened to him. He got to find that confidence back.
Yeah.
I mean, they were saying that he was the guy that was first in the gym, last to leave, shooting over 1,000 shots a day. And I don't know, maybe the injury is making him not be able to do that thing anymore. But he needs to figure it out because we need something, at least the 6, something.
I think JB's still going to give him opportunities, but he's got to, if he doesn't take advantage of them soon, eventually you run out of chances.
Yeah.
You want to see, because he does, when he's right, he does play good defense. And there was a stretch of time in the season, as you said, that he was shooting the ball pretty well. But right now, he's playing with zero confidence, and you can't have a guy out there in the playoffs with playing with zero confidence. And that's the thing. Like, Danny Green, even at his age, and he's a limited player, especially on the defensive end, there's not going to be a confidence problem. Like, he's going to go out there, and he's going to give you his best effort.
Yeah.
And same thing with LeVert. But Coro, like, he's scared to shoot.
But I feel like with him, if you ain't gonna give it to me offensively, you gotta give it to me defensively.
That's right.
Like, you can't not have neither one.
Well, and to your point, in the end, I think the reason the Cavs were great in the second quarter, their offense was good, and we've been talking offense, but the reason they dominated this game and pulled away and made it the second half basically meaningless is because in the second quarter, they just locked it down defensively.
No, they really did.
They were harassing the Knicks. They were forcing them to bad shots, to forced shots. I mean, there was a stretch of time when they built up that lead where I was like, man, they're playing as good defensively as you can play in this NBA.
Hey, listen, I haven't seen the Cavs play that style of basketball and that aggressively and that defensive intensity. And I don't even think the LeBron teams played like that. They didn't play that level of defense. When you watch them play in the second quarter on, they were contesting every shot. Brunson couldn't get. And shout out to Jason Lloyd for what he said. He said, let's be clear. Jalen Brunson's a nice ball player. We like Jalen Brunson, but come on, man. Jalen Brunson is not the second coming of Allen Iverson or something. He's a nice ball player, and when they started shutting his water off, his utilities got cut off. He couldn't get.
What did he
get
finish
left
with last night?
I think he was like 6 of 17 from the field, something like that. I mean, it was terrible.
Julius
he
Randle
shot poorly.
Julius Randle was frustrated by the length of Allen and Mobley. It seemed like they either tipped, contested, blocked most of those shots underneath the basket. And so when you're playing like that and your defense is rotating and they look elite on that side of the floor.
Well, my favorite play was actually against Julius Randle. I think it was in the second quarter. It was like a loose ball. Julius Randle gets the ball, and Mobley strips him first. He gets it back. He tries to go up again. Spider strips it out, and it's out on Julius Randle. So it lets you know that this team is scrappy like that, and that's the attitude that you need. Every possession matters to the Cavs right now, and they continue to play like that. Like I say, this thing will be over.
Well, in Game 1, we complained about they're soft. The Knicks kicked their ass in the game. They out-hustled, out-physicaled them, and it totally flipped in Game 2, right? The Cavs were the more physical team. I think the Cavs won the rebounding edge by 8 or 9 last night, something like that. They were more physical. They were more aggressive.
No, they watched McNuggets break down the rebound and thing yesterday, so they got it together. But you know what? It's impressive that they are playing like that because, you know, Tom Thibodeau, obviously everybody knows the type of coach he is. Aggressive, you know, very energy, needs hustle, all of that. And for them to be doing his team like that speaks a lot. You got to give JB a lot of credit for that because he's not backing down from Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, they definitely pistol whipped the Knicks. They definitely pistol whipped them.
And now the Cavs, the goal to me is you got to go split in New York. Right, you got to split the two. You can't ask them to win both.
Just get
you
that
got to
home.
come back to Cleveland 2-2.
Yeah,
you come back to Cleveland 2-2. Cavs are in good shape.
And I'm gonna tell you what, you thought it was live and that atmosphere was gonna be crazy. Can you imagine on Friday?
That
Friday
it's
night.
a Friday night in the Garden.
And
they ain't been. Listen, they are going to be on a 10, and so the Cavs are gonna have to really weather the storm. What I look to see is it might be a game. LeBron used to do this a lot. On the road, what he tried to do is like let me keep my guys in it. Like
get them going early.
Let them get going early, and then if I feel like they ain't got it, now I got to kick my aggressiveness level up so that we can at least tread some water. Because the worst thing you want to do is kind of what we did to them. We do not want to get down 14, 15 points in a quarter.
Not in the Garden.
Not in the Garden, because here's the thing. If you thought you was getting sketchy non-calls now, by the way, I can't even say it. I've been watching all the NBA. First of all, shout out to the NBA. The NBA playoffs are, I mean, watching these games is fantastic.
It's amazing, except for that Celtics-Hawks series.
That one needed to be over with.
It's amazing. Like I hate watching the last 2 months of the NBA regular season. Sucks.
It's
unwatchable, and then the playoffs is phenomenal.
I mean, every series.
Almost every series.
Clippers Suns is great. I'm loving
Kings Warriors.
Kings Warriors is awesome.
The Warriors ain't got nothing coming right now.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Big game tonight. Milwaukee, Miami.
Giannis.
I think Milwaukee takes care of business.
If Giannis,
Did he call you? Tell you what he's going to play?
Did you give him no, I think Tyvus called him to give him a pep talk.
Yeah,
for the
you
game.
get him together?
Tyvus, how's your back feeling?
One thing about
Giannis
Giannis is this: Giannis will be back. And when he comes back, he's going to be phenomenal.
I got Bucks in 5. They're going to win 4 in a row, I bet.
I got Bucks in 6.
Okay.
Bucks
So
in 6.
you think he's going to get another game?
Yeah, he's going to get another game. Wow. Jimmy's going to have one of those games.
Wow.
He's going to have one of those games.
Wow.
Lakers try to go up 2-0 tonight.
That's another series.
Now they pull that. It's
a wrap.
We're going to talk more about Draymond later, but he is suspended for Game 3.
Yeah. And that's
that's
you know,
gonna
the
be 9
last
games
time,
in Oakland.
last time he got suspended, Cavs ended up winning the whole thing. So
I want to see Sacramento win that series.
they probably
They are fun to watch. I'll admit, I did not watch. I don't know if I saw them once in the regular season.
Yeah,
I think they was.
But man, are they fun to watch.
I think they was on the old Art Modell blackouts. Like, you know, like for some odd reason, like we growing up, you couldn't even watch the Browns. You was like, wow, the Browns in there. It's like, yeah, the game's not sold out. It's blacked out in your area. I've seen the Kings play maybe once or twice, and one of those games was playing the Cavs. So
right, yeah.
But De'Aaron Fox, good God, he's just like
he liked that. He liked that.
I'm like,
but he
you
been
like
like that. Actually, he been really good for a while, but it's just the Kings been bad that he didn't get a lot of
He's
publicity.
taking it up another level
well,
this
he
year.
has to.
And Malik Monk is on steroids.
Yeah, that guy was so
Monk,
good in college.
He was like that when didn't he play for the Lakers last year? He was hitting shots like that.
I don't remember Malik Monk hitting no shots like that.
Yo,
Like,
he was. Yes, he was.
He's getting to the rack now too. Like he just doing
when he
it.
was with LeBron last year, he was doing that. I was just like, who is this dude?
Harrison Barnes is back in North Carolina.
Yeah.
You see, he was up there dunking. He dunked on somebody for
He'd be a
Golden
good player
State.
for the Cavs too.
What you mean? Like, can we like stop telling me that? Like, I get excited. Like, did you hear something, Bull? Did somebody let you know?
I wish.
If I was the Cavs, I'd go after Mikal Bridges See if the Nets let him go.
Well, what are you going to give up for him?
I don't know, but I would try.
Man.
He'd be nice in
You
this.
think the Suns would want to reverse that trade right now?
Yeah.
No.
But Cam Johnson playing out his mind, though, which I didn't know.
Well,
I didn't know he was
I
like
forgot.
that.
The Suns is so crazy.
Devin Booker had a monster game.
The Suns. See, Kevin Durant, you sneaky, dirty. He gets on my nerves, bro. See, he goes right back to another squad. He always insulates himself with these other dudes with similar skill sets. So it's like, who you going to pick? You going to stop me or Booker? You can't just double both of us because one of us going to be open. So he be getting...
Well, it's not just the two of them. Because Chris Paul is awesome and DeAndre Ayton's pretty good.
So he does this stuff, and he comes in with clean looks. He been getting clean looks and being insulated for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
10 in a row. Shout out to Russell Westbrook. I read a stat that said he's combined when he's guarding Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, and he threw in a couple of other guys. That he's only given up like 6 field goals. The entire...
Really?
Yeah, like he's just...
It's not like he's known for his defense.
He's been playing.
He's been playing well.
That's how they won game one.
I mean, he got embarrassed this year because everybody blamed him for the Lakers' problems, which was unfair.
I mean, they got D'Angelo Russell, and then they started winning games. So
it was
was it his fault, or was it because LeBron and AD weren't healthy?
That's
true.
It was
bad.
You know, I mean, they were.
But I don't know. Like right now, it is fun. You know, we'll get rid of the riffraff like Minnesota and Atlanta. And some of these scrubby teams.
Who is Minnesota playing?
They're playing the Nuggets game 2 tonight. Yeah, they suck. They're horrible. But go ahead, Earl. What do you got?
A couple things on the Cavs real quick. So we talked about the Cavs taking this thing to Madison Square Garden. Starting prices for Game 3 and Game 4 in New York start around $300 a ticket.
That's probably for the nosebleeds.
Is that the nosebleeds?
That's probably for the nosebleeds. Yeah. So
you better know somebody.
They're saying that the first round Game 3 and Game 4 tickets in New York is outselling the Grizzlies Lakers Game 3 alone by 45%.
Wow. Well, I mean,
that's what it's the Mecca.
I mean, it is. Listen, I was never a Knicks fan as a kid, but going to the Garden is a special experience. It's really, it's cool. It's like going to Wrigley Field or Fenway Park. I mean, it's kind of a dump.
Yeah.
But there's something. It's a cool dump though.
The fact that it's all pitch black and dark from the second row back. It's like they spot shadow only the famous people. They're like, listen, like if you in row 5, they got the lights completely off. I'm like, I don't know how the hell they do that.
You went to the Garden?
No, I just see it on TV.
You never been to the Garden?
You been to the Garden? Of course you have.
I mean, I can go all the time, but I
gotta
went
put that on my bucket list.
I've been to the Garden for the Knicks, for the Rangers, for St. John's, for Billy Joel, and for wrestling.
Now,
I went to the circus when I was a kid.
Now, this always baffles me. Yeah. So like all these big cities, right? Like in Boston and in New York, is there subways like attached to that? So you could just get on the subway and go right to the Garden.
Oh yeah.
And it pulls you up downstairs and you walk upstairs.
I can't remember if it takes you actually right downstairs, but it certainly takes you within, right on the corner or whatever. I don't remember if you get in like under the building. I can't remember.
That's crazy.
Because I haven't taken a subway in so long. But
I'll tell you what.
But yeah, I mean, in Manhattan, you can get to almost any block on one subway or another.
I tell you what about this Knicks and Cavs game. Now that it's back in the Garden, for your bet, whenever they play, what is it, in 2 days?
Yeah,
take the over on Donovan.
Yeah, right. I agree. Because on the road, the other guys aren't going to play. Some of the other guys aren't going to play as well.
Because he's going to have to play like that to let everybody. Because it could be overwhelming to some people. Playoff basketball in the Garden, it could be scary. They could have some more jitters again. But Donovan's going to be the one like, listen, I got us for a while.
By the way, somebody gave me a new nickname yesterday that I'd never had before, and I like this nickname. I'm adding it to my repertoire. So I was, and then we're going to go to Earl for a read here, but. So yesterday I'm having lunch at Yours Truly, which is in the Halley building where I used to work for many years. I happened to run into Dustin. I was telling the guys off the air. Dustin, I was waiting in my car. Dustin walks across the street to me. We ended up chatting for a while. Not that we don't chat, but I haven't seen him in person in a while. Mm-hmm. So we were talking for a while, and then I go to lunch at Yours Truly, and I see there's a guy sitting next to me. He and I were chatting. He's from Queens. He came for the game. And then there's these three people. There was a guy and two, younger women. And the guy was wearing a New York Rangers shirt. And I scream across the restaurant, "Get these New Yorkers out of here!"
And what did they say?
But I was just joking around.
What everybody said?
So they start laughing.
Yeah.
The waitress knows me because I used to go there all the time when I worked in the building. And I walk up to them and I actually bought a drink around for the New Yorkers that were there. Yeah. And I said,
big spender.
I don't know. I felt like such a big shot yesterday. I'll admit. So I buy a round.
He's showing off.
I was showing off. And I said, next time you guys come to New York, you got to let me know.
Did you?
I said New Yorkers got to get my permission to come to Cleveland.
Like this dude just really Al Capone. This
I
thing.
did. He did. And he goes, "Are you the New York mayor of Cleveland?" I said, "Damn right I am."
New York mayor of Cleveland.
Like that is actually fire.
Adam, the New York mayor of
I
Cleveland.
thought you would appreciate that. I thought you would.
And I was ready to clown it because most times people say somebody gave you a nickname. And it's trash and be like, "We're not going to call you that. We'll decide what your nickname." But that's fire though. Like that's super fire.
The guy gave me. In fact, the guy I gave him my number. He owns a Colombian restaurant in New York, and I said next time I go in the city, I'm going to come to your Colombian restaurant. Because I love Colombian food. It's hard to get Colombian food here.
Yeah,
that's so crazy.
And so anyway, but they went. I told them they were going to go home unhappy, and they were.
Yeah,
so they were here for the game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they were. So but I guess they were happy the Rangers won in the Stanley Cup.
I went home happy, man.
Right.
On my way home,
Yeah.
I seen somebody who recognized me from the show. He stopped me.
Look at that.
He said I got these Built Bars. He wanted to give me one, even though I had a whole bunch in my trunk already.
By the way, knowing most white people in Cleveland, because I know every white person in Cleveland, of course, I'm surprised they didn't think you were G. Bush or Tyvus.
No, everybody in Cleveland thinks I'm Josh Cribbs. I guess because I'm black and I got locks.
Right.
That's the only preference they can come up with.
Josh
But he
Cribbs,
told me he
yeah.
used promo code LOCKEDON15 at Built.com. Dropped a couple Built Bars on me.
Nice.
How many Built Bars do Jared Allen and Evan Mobley need to eat to kind of step their offensive game up? Because we're going to need that.
I mean, I thought Mobley had a good offensive game yesterday. I mean,
It depends on what you expected out of him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he played pretty well. He was more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I did too.
I mean, you want him to be the Mobley that we seen towards the end of the year for sure offensively? Because I mean, that guy was scoring like 20 and 30 points. But like I said, playoff basketball, they're not going to allow him to get that type of stuff. So he would have to truly put that jump shot in his repertoire and be comfortable shooting it for him to get that many points.
I mean, it is hard to score 25 points in a game when you're mostly getting baskets at the rim and you have two great guards that are scoring and shooting. And last night, I think Jay said on Monday they weren't, only two guys took a lot of shots. Well, yesterday you had four guys take double-digit shots, including Mobley, because LeVert did, Darius did, and Donovan Mitchell did. So they were more balanced. And, I think there'll be a game somewhere along the line where Mobley has 20-plus points.
Yeah.
What did he finish with yesterday?
13.
13?
13 to 13.
I mean,
You see here, what I loved what they did was they're known for a defensive team, but what I loved is, I'm just so fascinated with the pick and roll game. So basically, when you looking at, Jalen Brunson and what he was able to do the first game, even though he's in foul trouble, I thought he was able to rest on defense a little bit. I thought, they was able to hide him a little bit, and teams with smaller guards like Steph Curry, they're notorious for trying to hide him so that he can stay fresh and still be able to have that energy on offense. But I think JB did something really, really good. I think they basically said, you know what, let's figure out if you can shoot all them jumpers and do all that stuff. We're going to put you in the pick and roll every single time. And so the amount of energy it takes for a small guard to be trying to get over top of a big, fighting over screens, fighting under screens, he's doing all of that. And now his legs is the biggest part of what his game is, because obviously he has to shoot over length, he has to shoot over longer defenders at the rim because the Cavs got two rim protectors. It's just it looked as if he didn't have his legs. And I thought they did a good job of making him say, you're going to have to play both sides of the court today. And I thought that was one of the big wrinkles that they did from game 1 to game 2.
Well, you know, maneuver around all them picks, that take a lot out of a defender. I mean, De'Aaron Fox just came out and said that it's tough. You got to be in shape to check Steph Curry. You remember J.R. Smith did the podcast and said Delly almost died trying to check Steph Curry. That was great.
That video was awesome from J.R.
He almost lost his life. He did.
He's like, he's my guy because he did. I mean, people went over the top with their obsession with Delly, but he did play his ass off.
Yeah, he did.
It's like playing receiver for like if you're going to play receiver and you play in that practice, people don't understand. All they do is run and come back. It's like dogs. They play a fetch. Let run, and then sometimes you don't even get to rock. I'd be like, no, I'm not going to be running these backside routes. I'm running this coverage off. At least DBs start off 20 yards off the ball. But these dudes, no. These dudes got to be in shape.
We're going to bring in our guy Evan, who does the Locked On Cavs podcast here in just a second. But real quick, I got to admit this, and Cavs fans may get mad, but I have a feeling both of you guys agree with me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I got to admit, I kind of like Steph Curry. Even though he killed the Cavs.
Why would you hate him?
Because we all used to hate it. Well, I don't know.
He's off the list. He's off the list. He's off the hate list. He got off the list like 2 years ago.
He's such a likable player.
I never hated him.
I used to hate him because when he would beat the Cavs and he had the stupid mouthpiece and he would hang it. But he's so good and he's so likable. Like he's seems like such a nice guy. I don't like Draymond. I still hate Draymond.
I don't have a problem with Draymond. Draymond is a real authentic guy. I like a guy that tell it like it is.
But he plays dirty.
Every now and then he got a moment. I don't like Grayson Allen.
Although I guess I can't
don't like Dylan Brooks.
I like physical.
Like, I don't like them type of guys. I think Dylan Brooks is the new Draymond.
The new Draymond? All right, let's bring Evan in here. What do you got for us, Earl, in the meantime?
As we get Evan locked in, man, here's a word from our panel about our memberships, our overtime, and all that good stuff. Check it out.
Attention, all Cleveland sports fans.
Are you tired of missing out on exclusive content and behind-the-scenes conversations?
The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show has got you covered.
For less than $2 a month, you can become a Starters tier member. You get custom emojis and badges that other people don't have.
Or upgrade to the big-time coaches tier. For less than $5 a month, you get all the exclusive overtime content, things that those other suckers are not getting.
Don't miss out on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show experience.
Become a member. In overtime today, we will talk more about Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm. Did they ever put the brand emoji on that thing?
Do we have a brand emoji? I think so.
The one that right there.
Yeah.
He got the spicy joint. It's the spicy Brad.
All right, let's bring Evan in here from Locked On Cavs. Evan, how you doing?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing?
Good to have you.
Man, I like that little zip up, that little mock neck. Let me see what you got on. Okay, you got the.
It matches his shoes. It's very fashionable.
I have no fashion sense whatsoever. my fiance is a fashionista.
Oh, so she dresses you?
No, she doesn't dress me, but I know my
fashion.
Let her dress you.
Don't let her lamp you up like that.
I wasn't saying that as it was a bad thing.
Wrong with that.
I was saying that as like that's to be secure in yourself enough to let your fiance dress you. Good. Look at me.
Do you know how many women dress they men?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
My mother dresses me.
See, his mother dresses him. No problem. Well, you look sharp today.
Well,
I'm glad to
I
have you
want
with
a
us.
full disclosure. My wife does not dress me.
Okay.
There we go.
Tyvus wouldn't admit it if she did.
I would. I'm too drippy.
Would she like to dress you?
No, because I'm too drippy.
All right.
Pause a little bit.
Evan, obviously we've been talking about the Cavs for the last half hour. You know, and that's the NBA, right? Like one game you look like crap, the next game you look great. Game 3, who knows, right? After game 1, a lot of people were jumping off the bandwagon. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of fans who are saying, we can't lose to the Knicks, no chance, and they could go get crushed in game 3 in New York. What's your overall assessment of the first 2 games for the Cavs right now?
So I wasn't surprised they lost game 1, honestly. Other than Donovan Mitchell and then technically Danny Green, who didn't play in game 1, there's not a lot of playoff experience on this Cavs roster. And they were saying all the right things, saying, like, we're not going to be too caught up in the moment. It's not going to be too much, but you got to experience it to actually fully understand it. And that was a little bit of that trial by fire for Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. You can go down the list.
Allen had played in the playoffs
Allen and
before,
LeVert had played before, but like
not a lot.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just the expectations. You're one of the top dogs in the Eastern Conference. You want to prove you belong. You have a team in New York that you struggled with all regular season long. And it felt like a bit of a feeling out process, but more than anything, New York just kind of hit him with a level of physicality in game one that they just weren't ready for.
Yeah.
And you saw, at least after the end of the game, like Darius Garland went on the podium, JB Bickerstaff went on the podium. They're both super calm. They didn't seem stressed or pressed, which is a sign of that growth and maturity from last season when they seemed like they were really pressing during the play-in tournament. But there's like, everything's going to be okay, but we just got to match that physicality from the opening tip and just show that, hey, this is our home court. We're not going to lay down. We're not going to get bullied by you guys. And you saw it maybe after the first couple minutes in game two, but Cleveland really hit New York in the mouth, and they would not let up all throughout the game. And they just kept hitting them and hitting them and hitting them. And it's a luxury. Donovan Mitchell doesn't need to score all night long because you have Darius Garland stepping up to the plate, which I kind of expected just because he's a big-time player. And as soon as he's comfortable, he's going to feel a lot better out there. Then LeVert just benefits from those two. And Mobley and Allen maybe didn't have the most refined game offensively, but those two were awesome on defense. They kept the Knicks from crashing the offensive glass a lot more. You could see that JB made a lot of smart decisions to adjust things and just kind of hit the right buttons. And they found a way to tie it up 1-1, so they had to feel good about their chances heading into the Garden. And it's a lot better than being down 0-2.
You know, I think a lot of the Cavs homers, and every fan base is a bunch of homers, a good percentage of them, were complaining about the referees in game one. I thought the referees were fine. I don't believe that, like, the league wants the Knicks to win. Maybe in theory they do. They're not cheating for the Knicks to win. If they were cheating for the Knicks, I think the Knicks would have a lot more success the last 20 years. There was no cheat. I think the refereeing in the series has been spot on. I just think they were letting them be physical, which I got no problem with. I think it's better for the game, my opinion. And the Cavs, as you said, they played more physical and the same thing. I don't know. Have you had any issue with the officiating?
I agree with you. I don't think there's much of an issue with the officiating. If you look at the free throw disparity, New York shot more free throws in game two, and the Cavs still blew them out of the water.
Right.
And Garland, Bickerstaff, Mitchell, whoever's talked to the media at this point has just said, they're letting us play. And we kind of have an understanding of, like, okay, the refs are going to kind of be a little hands-off with us on this one. That's the difference between the regular season and the playoffs. And now we got to figure out how physical are we allowed to be before the refs start blowing their whistles at that point. So they find that balance, and they worked it out. And it worked in game two at that point. So it just, figured out. I don't think the officiating is that bad, but that's just the number one thing for fans. Like if there's bad calls, people just zero in on that and then make that their issue the whole game.
It's a hard sport to officiate.
I think if you watch over the totality of the entire playoffs, they've been letting the guys play the same way.
Love it. That's the only one to say.
No blood, no foul.
That's
man.
right.
Unless it's like a blatant call. Like I
don't want to see fouls every 2 seconds. I want to see action.
What's your take on Isaac Okoro? Do you think JB has a conundrum on his hands? He's rolled with Isaac the majority of the year. They like what he can give you defensively. But Karis LeVert he has the ability to kind of pick it up, and all of a sudden he gets it going. The Cavs offense becomes a different type beast.
It's an interesting conundrum with Isaac Okoro because a lot of people had expectations for him coming into this year just to, like, make that leap. There's a lot of that narrative of how he's shooting the hell out of the ball heading into the season, how he's just working on his three-point shot, and it just hasn't translated. And I think if you just look at how this offense works, if he's the fifth banana on offense and he's giving you 8 to 10, that's great. But if the shot's not falling, it's a little bit dicier, especially in a playoff series like this. But Karis LeVert started the season as a starting three. Went to JB and said, hey, I'm not getting enough shot opportunities. I'm kind of muddying things up with Donovan and DG. So he asked JB to go to the bench, and then they tried Dean Wade for a bit, and then Isaac's just been the guy since then. So if you're looking in this playoff series, I'm curious to see if JB makes a change going into Game 3 just because of how effective Karis was in Game 2. And then just Isaac only played 3 minutes after picking up those 2 fouls. And you look at that, but Karis functions better as that sixth man for the team. And if you get him rolling against a bench unit, and to your point, you guys were talking about it before, it doesn't matter if you start as long as you finish. And more often than not, Karis is finishing games for the Cavs. He averages more minutes than some of the starters most games too, just because he's that dude. And if you get him rolling with the bench squad, and then let's say Darius and Donovan are getting a bunch of defensive attention in Game 3, LeVert's just going to benefit from that because there's no defensive pressure on him at that point. So I think there is reason to be concerned about Okoro. I don't think you pull the plug on him just because he's your best point of attack defender, and he's a dude you can just throw at Jalen Brunson and make Brunson uncomfortable right away. But maybe you just don't play him 30, 35 minutes because you can't expect him to be making those clutch time, big time shots for you down the stretch.
So would you rather him or would you rather Danny Green, or would you continue to keep Danny Green? I think it would be one of those things. If I was to start Danny Green, he wouldn't play a ton of minutes. Like I would have to have some quick rotations with him. But would you rather see Danny Green in that lineup just because he does at least give you that 3 ball and he gives you that playoff experience?
I mean, that's a good question because Danny Green does give you a lot of those things, but he just hasn't played a lot with those guys. And maybe there's just like the unfamiliarity. So there's like just the chemistry issues you're trying to work out and figure out in real time. And Green hasn't played real minutes until maybe the last few games of the regular season. And then last night, Chris Fedor noted that the plan was to give Danny more minutes in this game, but he came in, he played about 23 minutes, I want to say, and he played well. He only made 1 3-pointer, but he mostly played good defense, and he did what you want him to do. So to your point, you could start him over Isaac, but you keep that steady rotation maybe between him, Okoro, Jetty Osman just being that other 3-point shooting wing. And then if you're JB, you just ride the pulse of who's hottest in that game and you just stick with it because that's what JB said post-game after game 2. The decision to keep with Karras for most of the game was Karras was feeling it, and he's like, I'm not going to mess up a good thing, just roll with it, and it led to a win. So,
Evan, Ricky Rubio, obviously last year before the injury was great. He was way better than we could have expected. And he's not been the same player this year since coming back from injury. Do you think he's done, or is he a guy that maybe next year a year past the injury, will be better again? Or
it's tricky since ACLs are just such a hard thing to come back from. This is the second time he's torn that ACL.
Yeah.
And it's just an unprecedented situation. Before they get Donovan, the expectation is, okay, the guard situation is going to be Colin Sexton at the time, Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, with Ricky Rubio being that backup point guard. Now that Donovan has really showed that he can play point, and then Karis is just kind of gelled really well in this 3-guard set they have, like the need for Rubio isn't as much, but you look at how he looked in game 1, the offense got wrecked. They just looked really disheveled. They looked out of place. And New York took advantage of the fact that maybe Rubio's a step slow at times.
Yeah.
And I wrote about it and just said, like, I think the Cavs just need to pull the plug on the situation for now and just add shooting, add wing depth, because they have enough guard creation between Mitchell and Garland just to make it work. And to your point, maybe you pull the plug on the situation in the playoffs. Maybe there's situations in lineups that you can play Rubio that you feel comfortable with. But again, you found something that worked in game 2, you work with it. And if it doesn't work in game 3, you obviously make adjustments at that point. But you look ahead to next year, Rubio's on contract for next season and the year after that. You hope at that point he's a lot more healthy and he's just maybe over the mental hurdles that come with being back on the floor. And you see what you have, but he's also going to be in his later 30s. You still have Garland and Mitchell. And this is maybe a conversation for the summer, but
yeah, sure.
They signed Ricky Rubio before they had Donovan Mitchell. And I think now that you have Donovan Mitchell, you're like, we don't need Ricky Rubio as much as we originally did.
Yeah, with the ACL thing, I just think with Ricky Rubio, I torn both of my ACLs. And I remember trying to play basketball after tearing my ACL. Like you see him?
I was looking at the little.
Yeah, I got the lines. I got this, and these are my tattoos. This is a stat. It's a stat. I got a line on every part of my body, like every limb and part. Like there's a line from surgery. It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
I got 2. I got this one, and I had a sports hernia.
See,
Evan, you got any lines from surgery?
I got knee surgery my freshman year.
All right, I got one, my Achilles tendon.
There you go. I tore that too. That sucks. I don't like that.
That's the worst.
Yeah. No, but when you trying to come back and play basketball, it's just like you're not really. I kind of compare it to being like you're not in control of your body. Mm-hmm. It's like you're uncoordinated. It's like the stuff you used to do where you didn't think like I'm gonna run and I'm gonna cut and I'm gonna jump and I'm gonna do this. It just doesn't. It just feels like your lower body is kind of detached, and it takes a lot to get your explosiveness back, just to trust your leg. And for Rubio, I could tell that he's not 100%, and usually you won't be 100% to year 2 after you do it anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think JB, and I'll ask you this question. You said whoever's riding the hot hand. Do you think he has the heart to say, well, look, I'm only going with 7? Because I thought the way he handled it was we didn't really see too many guys jump in the game. He used Jetty, and he also used Levert. And then you saw a little bit of Danny Green. And so it was 7 guys. And so do you think you will see much more shorter rotations and getting guys in and out like that when we get to New York?
I don't think you can afford to go shorter than 7 at this point, just because you don't want to gas out your core 4 guys. And then, to your point, they went with 7 in game 1 as well because he pulled the plug on Rubio and Wade at one point too. It was just Levert and Okoro just kind of soaking up those 5, 6, 7-man minutes at that point. So I just don't think you can afford to, because New York has a lot of depth. They have a pretty good bench unit. I know Josh Hart isn't 100%. I know Julius Randle isn't 100%. I know Jalen Brunson's still dealing with some dumb issues too. But like, New York has the legs and they have the ability to run and get out on fast break. And if they're playing at home, they're going to be feeling themselves a lot more. So you might want to just keep that 7-man rotation. If you can find an opportunity to play 8 guys, great. But you don't want to burn your guys out, because it's a 7-game series. It's not like, okay, whoever wins this next game, it's over. So you just got to be mindful of that fact and like, play 6, 7 guys in game 3, and then you look at it game 4. And as to your guys' point, you just try to split that series in New York so you can come back to Cleveland, try and win 5, and then lock it up in maybe 6 or 7 at that point. And you want to run your guys into the ground getting there.
Yeah, I was just going to pivot to that. Do you believe what they want to do is to get the split in New York? Is that what they're looking? Now, obviously, I like to get greedy. I like 2.
Yeah.
You're going to give me 2. But is that the objective?
I mean, ideally, you want to win both games. I think if a team says we're only going out there to win 1, it's probably a fireable offense if you're a coach. But ideally, you win 1 game, because you already got 1 game back in Cleveland. You secured that last night. And if you can get 1 more game in New York, you're guaranteeing yourself a little bit more breathing room. Let's say you win game 3. Game 4, there's way less pressure to maybe perform. And then if you can win in 4, awesome. You can come home in 5 and take care of business, because that means the Knicks are just really rattled at that point. But if you can take care of business in 3, and let's say you drop the matinee game on Sunday, not a huge deal. You come back on Wednesday, take care of business, and then I believe they go back to New York at that point. And if you can close it out there, because you already won there once, it's a little bit easier to work with. And then also, if that doesn't happen, you at least have game 7 in your back pocket too.
What do you think the Knicks, you're Tom Thibodeau, how do you address and what do you change about your gameplay to be able to win game 3 against the Cavs?
So I'm really surprised. The Knicks found a ton of success in game 1, just trapping and pressuring Darius Garland the moment he crossed the timeline. And then Garland gets flustered when they do that, and they kept denying Donovan Mitchell the ball, because it's like that's Garland's safety blanket when that stuff happens. They went away from that in game 2. Like, I noticed, I'm like, well, what are the Knicks doing? Like, that was their formula for success, and they're abandoning it. And I wonder if it's Cleveland just hitting them with so much physicality that they were rattled and they couldn't, like, really get set. But maybe if you're able to find steady legs at home and just grind it out a little bit with Cleveland, because it's weird, because New York's the number 2 offensive team in the league this year, and they're the 7th defensive team, which is surprising because Tom Thibodeau's coaching them. But you can see the gears returning a little bit with how he schemed up the defensive game plan on Cleveland. So if you're Thibodeau, you want to try and just keep pressuring the guards and maybe just keep daring Darius Garland to performing. And I know that that's a risky gamble, because Darius Garland's a big-time player, and he really showed it in game 2, and then ditto for Donovan Mitchell. But the Knicks found a formula for success in game 1 where they rattled the young dudes and said, all right, Donovan, beat us by yourself while the rest of your teammates are a little shaky, because we just keep throwing a bunch of blows or just finding ways to make them uncomfortable every time they're on the floor.
Evan, what was your prediction for the series before it started?
I had Cavs in 6.
And what do you have now?
I still think it's going to be Cavs in 6, and they obviously have to win on the road in the Garden in game 6. But I have a feeling just there's so much momentum heading into game 3.
Yeah.
And they have found some things that work. And I do wonder if Thibodeau makes enough adjustments, because it feels like Donovan Mitchell's starting to figure out how they're playing them on defense.
Yeah.
And it's encouraging because he's in Darius Garland's ear constantly saying, like, this is what they're doing. I want you to do this. Like, hey, just ignore me. Just go. And, like, he's empowering his teammates instead of just saying, I'm going to be the dude and carry you there, which is encouraging enough. But there's enough of that just momentum heading into game 3 that you're like, yeah, you feel good about their chances that they could maybe steal the show on Friday night in the Garden, and then maybe the New York City nightlife beats them up on Saturday night, and then the Sunday's a little harder for them. But
let's hope you're right. No partying. This is the playoffs. You're not LeBron. No partying in New York. Evan, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, man.
Good to have you in. Go ahead there, Earl. What do you got for us?
Yeah, once again, man, we definitely appreciate you. So we're going to ask the internet right now. And, of course, every time we ask the internet, is brought to you by PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? Well, PCC Airfoils is a lead manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. And all locations of PCC Airfoil in Eastlake, Menor, Whitcliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions right now, starting at $18 an hour. Plus, you get full benefits package, paid time off, sign a bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So we asked the internet, can the Cavaliers duplicate last night's performance in New York in the upcoming Game 3? We had 392 votes. 84% of our chat says yes. 16% says no.
What a shocker that 82% of Cleveland Cavs fans think the Cavs can do it again in Game 3. Of course they can. Will they? I don't know. But let's wrap up our Cavs conversation with this, guys. You asked a good question about the rotation, right? We know the Big Four is going to play. We know Karis LeVert's going to play. Okay, that's 5 guys. If you're going to have a 7-man rotation, that leaves you with 2 spots for the other guys. The options are, I guess, Ricky Rubio, Isaac Okoro, Danny Green, and Jetty Osman. If you're going to play 2 of those 4 guys, and it may change from series to series if they move on or whatever, but right now, based on what you know and the situation that they're in, who are those 4 guys for those other 2 spots? If you're going to play 2 of them, who are you playing?
Green and Jetty.
You got Green. I got Green for sure.
Yeah.
I pick Jetty because Jetty can give me that energy. Like when he just is on the court, first of all, he can hit a 3 at a higher rate.
He does hit trade.
And he showed me a little something when they had him on Jalen Brunson. He did not embarrass himself.
Yeah.
He can get out in the break and finish. He gives you energy. He dives on the floor. I think he's he's a player you have to care about more offensively than Isaac Okoro.
I think that's all true.
It's tough.
Here's what I would say, guys.
I mean, because he ain't wrong at all. Like, that's exactly
You're 100% right.
correct.
The only thing, here's the question. If you're in, like, part of me says, well, obviously, I think we're all in agreement that Danny Green should get some minutes in all these games, right? But my thought is, if you're in a big, let's say it's, you're up 110, 109 at the end of the game. Part of me says, well, at that spot, I might want to bring in Isaac Okoro to play some defense. However, if he's not playing the whole game and he's not completely healthy, is he capable of playing that lockdown defense in that big spot if he's rusty, lacking confidence, and not totally healthy? So I don't know. So I would lean towards Jetty, although he was like the only Cav that didn't shoot particularly well yesterday. Mm-hmm. I do think you make a good point, though. Like, Jetty's not great. But the other team has to at least think about him a little bit.
It has to be at least.
With Okoro, you're not.
If he had the 3-point line, you better be.
You have to close out.
Yeah. Like you're not panicking that Jetty's going to 3, but at least you got to pay attention. Yeah. With Okoro, they're basically ignoring him.
Go ahead.
And defensively, I get what people say. Isaac Okoro probably would be one of the better on-the-ball defenders, but see, it's different now. The way the Cavs is playing, they have 2 twin towers. They just and so even if they get past Jetty, you still got to see Evan Mobley. Then you still got to see Jared Allen at the top of or under the basket. So you can make up from some of the stuff that you may lose defensively by being a good defensive team defense and the principles that they got. I just need because if you don't do that, you muddy yourself down, and then the Cavs aren't really that deep. So if you make the wrong decision with the 6th or 7th player, what ends up happening is you start to be like, oh, well, we don't got enough points today. Because that could happen. Like, they needed every bit of Karis's points.
Yeah, they did.
They needed all that.
Was your question for the rest of the playoffs or for the rest of this series?
That's a good question.
Because
I think it does change.
That matters.
Right. You're right. I was kind of asking generally, but I think it is for the series.
Okay, for this series, I think they'll be fine with Jetty because, like he said, you'll always have those twin towers. Now, Evan Mobley won't be in the paint because Julius Randle has the threat of shooting threes.
Yep.
So that pulls Evan out of the paint. But Jared is always going to be down there because they have a true center. Yeah. They go against like Milwaukee where Brook Lopez is pulling them out the paint because he shoot threes. See, now it becomes a thing.
By the way, I love that. Like, look, if Julius Randle, and I know he can make them, but that's just not what it is. If Julius Randle is going to be shooting threes,
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Evan Mobley is going to contest that.
Yeah.
He's going to contest it without fouling you. He's going to not, foul a jump shooter. And so now that whole 6 foot, he's about 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", whatever the case he is, 240, that whole weight strength is nullified.
Right.
And he's not getting those guys in foul trouble.
Yeah.
So I'll take you shooting them jumpers out there. If you hit them.
By the way, I didn't realize this. I heard this yesterday. It must have been on the broadcast. I don't know if you guys knew this. I didn't know this before last night. That Evan Mobley is the youngest player ever to be a finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Yep.
Ever.
I didn't know that either.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Hey,
the ceiling, he got a huge ceiling that
Yeah.
everybody talks about. Like I said, when he developed that consistent jumper, his game would be. And he got to put on. Obviously, got to put that weight.
No
on.
doubt.
Because he got. They definitely be Deboing him a little bit.
If he's going to be a really good offensive player, he's got to get stronger.
Yeah.
And especially because we've seen when they've matched up with these teams that got good big guys, he struggles.
If the Cavs mess, I'm gonna tell you what. The way they played defense yesterday, if the Cavs mess around and find them a lockdown wing,
You talking about like Mikal Bridges?
bro, they actually could be one of the teams that I would literally say in the playoffs, they're that good defensively that they could win a championship no matter how good offensively you are.
And they are good offensively.
And they're good offensively.
And if they added a legitimate wing, they'd be even better.
Because that means you have two erasers and you have a long athletic wing that can guard the KDs, the Kawhi Leonards.
Right.
At that point,
point,
it'd be crazy. It'd be ridiculous.
What would you be willing to give up to get that?
That's the problem. They have nothing to trade.
That's the great thing about the NBA.
Yeah.
You can't stack it like that.
You
used to, but what would have to happen would be you'd have to have somebody that was willing to come to your team, that wanted to win a championship and was going to not take less than the super max money.
I gotta look into the.
They got to go all in this offseason too. This is a conversation for after the year because we don't know how long Donovan Mitchell's going to be here.
Yeah.
So they got to go all in.
I'm interested in it. I got to look up the upcoming free agents for this season.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a big topic. Go
I
ahead.
got one question, man, before
Girl.
we do these ad
Yeah.
reads. So first of all, thanks to everybody who joined us last night for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show post-game show. Me, Anthony, and G. Bush, we had a lot of fun. We look forward to talking to you all Friday.
Like it.
Something that came up in the post-game show.
That picture of Anthony is so funny.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It's hilarious. Yeah, exactly.
Something that came up in the post-game show, I think a fan asked the question,
Yeah.
should Isaac Okoro be set for the remainder of this series?
I think it's kind of what we were talking about here, but here's what I'd say about Okoro, and I've been down on Okoro as much as anybody. I don't know what Okoro is health-wise. I don't know that. Only he knows, and probably, in the team, right? But I'll say this. If Okoro is healthy enough to play good defense, I would actually still start him so he's in the rhythm of the game. I'd take him out after 4, 5, 6 minutes at the most. Keep him in the rhythm of the game because there may be a big spot late in the first half, late in the second half, where if he's healthy and right, I could use him defensively. And I would still play 8 guys. I'd split, give a couple minutes to him and a couple of minutes to Jetty. But if I'm going to ask him to do something in a big spot defensively, I can't have him not play for 46 minutes and then call him in. So I would keep him in the mix if he's right physically. If he's not, then I'm done with it.
That's where I'm at too. I think you have to keep him in the mix because one thing that great defense creates offense.
Yes.
If you get a good
saw that
possession, a
yesterday.
good steal, that turns into a fast break.
doubt.
So that right there is something that he has the ability to do. And on top of that, they got a good scorer in Jalen Brunson. So if you got a guy who can at least slow him down, because it's impossible to completely shut down people in the NBA, like top players in the NBA, you can't shut them down. So slow them down and limit them. If he can still do that, then you got to keep him in the rotation.
But I think we all agree there's no way I'm giving him any kind of significant
No, I didn't say that.
No,
I didn't say that.
he
like you said, 5, 6.
Yeah,
come on, we need some offense in there too.
He can't play 30. No chance. I don't even want to. To me, the most he should be playing is 10, 12 minutes max.
And we gotta understand this too. Every game is its own entity.
Yes.
So we can get into this game 3, and somebody get in foul trouble. then you
Right,
have to scramble.
Right.
Or somebody's not hitting shots, then you got to scramble. Somebody gets hurt. So obviously he wants to have his rotation set, but he has to be able to be flexible to pick the right lever to push, especially in the heat of battle, which is the most important thing when you talk about coaching in the playoffs.
But I do believe that besides LeVert, besides the big four and LeVert, so even though maybe Okoro still starts, I still think Danny Green should be sixth in minutes on the team.
Yes, I think he should be in heavy minutes.
And I don't want him to have a ton of minutes.
At 6, I put it 7 because you bring him in for Okoro. If say Okoro's the starter, you bringing him in for because I know you bringing LeVert in for.
I think at the 6-minute mark, I could bring in Danny Green and LeVert. I could bring them both in.
Yeah.
Or let me.
So who you sitting down?
Well, because that's
not
the
question.
Well, you know what? Not at the 6-minute mark, but I would know. I'd bring in LeVert, and then when either Darius or Donovan sits down, then I bring in Danny Green, and then eventually LeVert goes to the bench, and then I stick with Danny Green a little longer, and then I put him on the bench, and I most of those 3 minutes will go to LeVert, followed by Danny Green, and then Danny Green and LeVert will get some, I guess technically some of those guard minutes too. And Okoro, maybe a few minutes at the beginning of the game, a couple minutes maybe at the start of the third quarter, and then if I need him in a big spot defensively.
We go to the chat real quick. Danielle says, what about Rubio?
He's out. And
Chris K, he replied, Rubio is a liability right now. And
he just ain't feeling. He's just not himself.
And let me one more. Somebody else threw that in there too.
No Stevens, no Rubio.
At this point,
what's his name? Dean Wade.
Yeah, the reason why Rubio isn't playing, I just don't think he can stay in front of people.
No.
And he's not a prolific shooter. That was never his thing.
We'll leave the Cavs talk there. Good hour of Cavs talk. And now it's the noon hour there, Earl.
It's a noon hour. But before we get to that noon hour, Reed, man, I would just let you know that this next segment is going to be brought to you by the USFL. Sunday, April 23rd, the USFL is back in Canton. Come celebrate bro football with free T-shirts and rally towels for the whole family. Great seats start at just $10, so buy your tickets today at USFL.com. And as always, it is noon, and our noon hour is brought to you by Call It Racing. Our Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show official NASCAR team in Northeast Ohio.
There you go. And we're talking baseball now, guys.
It was not a good day.
Yesterday was
doubleheader.
Pathetic. Go ahead. You guys because I got a lot to say. So before I rant and rave, why don't you guys hit your thoughts on the Guardians and the Tigers?
Obviously, it was a doubleheader. The first one, I think it was 1-0 in the first. No, it was 4.
No, the second game was 1-0.
3-4.
4-3, yeah.
We lost. We got out hit terribly. I mean, they had 14 hits on us, so obviously the pitching wasn't up to par. A lot of runs got scored. It just, the Guardians started this season off really hot on the bat side, and then obviously you know how that baseball season goes. It goes up, down, up, down, up, down. And right now they kind of, we getting towards the bottom of it, but they tried to come back and make some good hits and make some plays. But like I said, at the end of the day, our pitching is not where it is right now. Our bullpen is not as strong as I thought it was. It might be tired down from all the games that they've been rotating those guys. And yeah, Detroit just embarrassed us. They weren't good.
First of all, let's just go ahead and say it. This is my problem with Guardians people in general. You can't have it both ways. And sometimes when I hear a bunch of people who know a lot more than I do or cover it or figure it out and really watch this thing in depth, my issue is this. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that you don't have the resources to go out and get players, but yet and still you have resources in your minor leagues to go out and either trade those players to get better players, right? But then you don't do that. But then you're like, okay, well, don't trade them. Just bring them up here and help me. And you still don't do that. So I'm like, you can't be sitting, like we sit there and look at these prospects as shiny toys.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're sitting there on Christmas Day and it's January 15th and your mom still won't let you open a toy. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? You look at the bullpen. Obviously, Gaddis is last 2 starts,
He actually just got sent down to the minors.
It's been bad.
And speaking of those prospects, the Guardians have called up Brian Rocchio, who's their he's a hitter, not a pitcher.
He's a hitter.
He's another infielder, and it'll be interesting to see how they use him because I don't know.
Is he taking Arias' platoon position?
I don't know what the plan is yet. After the show, I'll kind of look into it more. But I just saw that they called. He's their number 2 prospect overall, and they've just sent Hunter Gaddis down and called him up. But they haven't called up any of their big pitching prospects, which is, listen, yesterday was a freaking disaster.
Who you tell us?
Now, it's funny because you say, you were talking about like Guardians fans being hypocritical, and you talked about something that is fair. You know, like we don't want to trade all these prospects, but we're not going to bring them up. But I thought you were going to say this one, which is that Guardians people want you to be excited about the Guardians, but then they'll tell you it's too early to get.
That's exactly what they'll say.
That's what people do. Now, what I would say about that is you can't go over the top. You can't say, well, the Guardians suck. They're 9-9. They're going to be terrible this year.
No.
What you can say is they're playing like crap right now.
Yeah,
that's fair right now. Doesn't mean that's the whole. You can't turn it into the whole season.
It's a way.
But listen, I love baseball. I love the Guardians. I want them to win a World Series. I think they're a very talented team and a good team with tons of prospects that they need to call up and trade some of them to get more proven players. And I understand that baseball is a marathon. It's a drama. Football is a sprint and an action movie. And so, yeah, you can't say the team sucks based on 18 games. You can say that right now they are playing crappy baseball. And for the fact that they're only 500 right now is a big disappointment early in the season. They've played a pretty favorable schedule, right? Like, yeah, the Mariners on paper are a good team, but they're not playing well either. So you've played the Yankees. They're pretty good. Okay, but you haven't played any other good teams. The Tigers stink. They're one of like the 3 or 4 worst teams in the league. At least I think they're going to be, and most people think they're going to be. Maybe they won't be. But you know, and you couldn't do anything. 3 runs in 18 innings against an awful Tiger pitching staff.
It looked like last year. It looked like the end of last year how we got where we couldn't really get on base and really couldn't score. And
they're hitting for no power. We thought the power would be up. It hasn't been so far.
But
it's fair to complain about how they're playing right now.
They started off so well. That's the most disappointing part. That I thought for a second, like, okay, it's fair. They put it out there to the world that they got the ability to do it.
Yeah.
But right now, for some odd reason, people are blaming and say that it was cold and, you know, whatever. That's fair. You can give them that.
But it's cold for other teams, too.
That's true. But I mean, that's real, though. The weather does play a part in it.
Yes.
Today should be better. They'll play again today. And I expect them to come out. They got to get a win today. It is sad to say that this early.
And I expect them to play better, and I think I'm not panicking about the team, but they are playing poorly right now, and yesterday's just awful. I mean, and Karinchak again gives up the winning run.
Yeah.
Like, the bullpen's been lousy. The starting rotation outside of Bieber's not been good.
Yeah.
A Battlefield, I give him credit. He's one of the young guys they called up. He's not one of their top pitching prospects. I mean, he pitched well in that second game. It wasn't his fault. They couldn't hit.
And by the way, Bull, we talk about this. Listen, we spent half the year killing Josh Bell, but
he's been hit lately.
We destroyed him.
Yeah.
Here's a guy.
I did say he was.
And you got a point. If Jay and Jason Lloyd come back up in here telling me that Naylor should be still getting hits against lefties, no, he's batting 161. He didn't flew under the radar. We was killing Bell the whole half of the year.
Yeah.
He's batting 161.
Yeah.
He has 2 home runs.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna be batting 161, I need your power numbers to be higher than that. Yeah. And he's not really even a crazy.
He stinks in the field. No, not getting good. Yeah. Not any good defensively. Yeah, I mean, listen, the team's off to a really bad start. Even Jose Ramirez is not hitting for any power right now.
Nope.
The bullpen, which was fantastic last year, has been pretty bad. Clase's been okay, but last year was the best, along with Edwin Diaz, was the best closer in baseball. Karinchak was lights out the second half of last year. This year, it's like every other appearance he's good. Every other appearance he sucks.
That pitch clock on him.
Yeah, he's a head case. I don't trust him right now.
Yeah, that's the scary.
You just don't trust him in a big spot.
I don't trust a lot of our pitchers.
That's right.
Now, who on the mound today? Quantrill?
Quantrill, yeah. And he hasn't been great.
No,
and that's it. They have nobody to eat innings, and that's affecting the bullpen. Yeah. And even if they do call up these guys like, you got these studs in the minors. I know the Guardians don't panic, and that's smart. You know, they believe in what they do, and that's okay. But it's going to hurt. The longer you go where these starting pitchers are going 3 innings and 4 innings and 4 1/3, that taxes the bullpen. No matter how good your bullpen is, if it gets overworked, it's not going to be effective.
How does Yandy Diaz have 5 home runs?
Yeah, he wasn't much of a power guy.
I'm confused by this.
Yeah, like they traded him a lot
because
over
he
years.
put that back.
It's been a while for Yandy.
But I'm looking at it. Once again, I'm always worried about the power numbers. And Jose's power numbers are down. Should we be alarmed by that a little bit? Like,
when should you get alarmed? That's the question.
Well, a guy like Jose, I'm not getting alarmed unless it's 2 months and he's not here. I mean, he's, you know, if it's a guy who's only done it for 1 year, yeah, I mean, like Oscar Gonzalez did hit a home run yesterday, which was good, but he's been off to a terrible start. He's no sure thing.
Yeah.
A guy like Jose, who's been good every year for whatever, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it's been, I can't remember now at this point. I'm not going to worry about him. Like, he's going to be good unless he's hurt. So he was hurt the second half of last year, didn't play as well. I haven't heard anything about an injury. I saw somebody tweeting yesterday, not a person that covers the team, but somebody I know was like, is Jose hurt? Like, what's going on? I don't think he's hurt. I haven't heard anything about an injury with him. He hasn't hit for any power yet. I think there's some level of patience you got to have, but it's frustrating. The team's been frustrating to watch because they haven't been scoring runs. They haven't been. They're not doing anything particularly well right now.
Listen, Bull, I'm sitting here looking at these stats.
Yeah.
Rocchio. He could play, I believe, shortstop or second base, correct?
Yes.
Right now, Ahmed Rosario is batting like 222.
And he's banged up. And I was wondering if maybe Rosario would go on the injured list.
Because he's struck out 17 times.
Yeah, he's off to a bad start. Now remember, he got off to a bad start last year.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of May, he was great from the middle of May on. So I don't know. You know, listen, they may give Rocchio a chance to play shortstop every day. Rocchio and Arias are both top prospects. I don't know why we'd have them both up here if they're both going to sit on the bench every day.
Yeah,
so I got to look into this some more and see what's going to happen because if I'm going to call up my best players, they got to play. Yeah. They can't sit on the bench. I mean, they'll play every day, but you'd want them to play a lot. But I don't know what's going on with Rosario. Maybe they're thinking he's going to miss a few more days because he's been banged up. I don't know. So maybe they're going to give Rocchio a chance, see what he's got. But if he comes up here and plays a few games and gets hot, then you stick with him. I mean,
and isn't that punitive? Like if they send him back down, doesn't that like start his clock or whatever the case may be?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he got to stay then.
Yeah.
I'm not sending you back nowhere.
Yeah. Go ahead, Earl.
I got a question.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a casual baseball fan. Stephen Kwan has 10 RBIs that leads the team. How abnormal is that for your leadoff hitter to be your team leader in RBIs?
Well, I mean, it's very unusual, especially for a guy that doesn't hit for power. Like Ricky Henderson, when he led off, he might lead the team in RBIs because he hit home runs in the leadoff spot. But Stephen Kwan, I don't think has any home runs, does he? No, he zero. None. He doesn't hit home runs. The reason he's got so many RBIs is because some of the guys in the bottom of the lineup who have been in the bottom of the lineup, like Zunino and Straw, have both got, and even Jimenez, who was hitting 7th for much of the season, those guys were all hot to start the season, and so they were on base a lot.
Straw's
playing well, and so, and Straw, I think in the second game was hitting second, or I can't remember where he was hitting. Yesterday was a weird day for me. I didn't get to see all of the games because my wife was going into the hospital, so I was kind of in and out all day of watching games. But Straw hit higher in the lineup in one of the games, and so, but in general, he and Zunino have gotten on base a lot, and especially when Straw's on base, he's a great base runner. So any Kwan with his singles and doubles is going to score those guys all the time. It's unusual. I'll tell you this: if Kwan leads this team in RBIs at the end of the year, they're in big trouble. They are in big trouble because he ain't hitting any home runs, which means he's not going to finish with that many RBIs, and that means Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, Jimenez, and Bell have all had disappointing seasons.
Man, well, here's what I'll say. I will say the fact that, the Duke of New Jerk is trying to show some restraint.
All right.
I'm trying to show some resolve and evenness. But listen, let it be hot outside for 2 weeks in a row and they're still playing like this.
I agree with that.
If it get hot, it's like shorts weather. Like, hey, look, we can't.
Right.
Because here's the thing. The Guardians, since they've been the Guardians, which is a team that's good, and they always fleece somebody in deals, and the way they're built, they've either had a lockdown bullpen or at least an awesome top 3 pitcher staff where you would say,
right,
even if they don't get no hits, they may lose some 1-0 games, but if they get a lead on you in the 3rd, 4th inning and they up 4-2, chalk it up. You about to lose. They can't say that this year.
No.
This year,
not right now.
Between injuries and guys struggling, they don't have that. So something has to give.
They about to get Ohtani.
Yeah. Guardians have lost 5 of their last 7. I will say this, though. With Francona, it's been many years where the Indians/Guardians have gotten off to a bad start and then played great in the second half. We've seen it many, many times. So certainly it's way too early to make any sweeping judgments about the season. But yes, as the weather gets better, and it's particularly disappointing when you lose games to the Tigers because they stink.
Thoughts about the division? Do you think it's just a two pony race?
I still
with
think the White Sox,
Guardians and Twins. You're not a believer in the White Sox.
I still think the White Sox will be okay, but they're off to an even worse start. And the bottom line is the Twins have lost 3 in a row too. So again, it's early. The standings don't mean that much. As poorly as the Guardians have played here lately, I mean, to lose 3 in a row against the Nats and the Tigers, and they've lost, 5 of 7, I think. They're still only a game and a half back of the Twins in the division. So we got a long way to go. It's way, way early to make any sweeping judgments. They're not playing well. Hopefully they can turn it around against the Tigers today, and then they go and they play the Marlins coming up, right? Or the Marlins are coming to town. But the Marlins are actually playing decent baseball right now. Go ahead, Earl.
Yeah, as of right now, man, the Guardians are 4-6 in their last 10. First pitch today is at 1:10. Kyle Quantrill is on the mound for the Guardians, and I think his name, what is it, Tranbull?
For a pitcher for
the Tigers. Am I saying that right?
Hold on. Who is pitching?
Quantrill for the
Cal
for the
Quantrill.
Guardians.
Yeah. No, who's pitching for the Tigers?
Spell
his last name. Oh, Spencer Turnbull.
Turnbull, sorry.
Yeah, he's not any good. They don't have any good pitching. They stink. The Tigers stink. The Guardians need to win. Let's go. Take care of business here. Stop effing around.
Absolutely. Just a quick reminder that our 12 o'clock lunch hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to you by Call It Racing, the official NASCAR team of Northeast Ohio.
There you go.
Bull.
Yes.
The Cleveland Browns are back in town. Voluntary workout started. A couple players spoke to the media.
Yes.
A lot of the guys were in attendance at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse to support the Cavs yesterday. And Anthony went through, found some quotes from certain players, and we're going to go
Before
over
we
just
get to
some
that,
reactions.
it's so funny because at one point, guys, remember they had the camera on Myles Garrett? It looked like Greg Newsome was like his little brother or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson was in the building too.
He was. He wasn't sitting with Myles Garrett, though. Is that controversial?
Oh,
No.
my gosh.
Defensive guys hang out with defensive guys.
By the way, I don't remember seeing Spike Lee yesterday. Was he not here for Game 2? Or did I miss it somehow?
I thought he wasn't there to Game 2.
I didn't see him.
I didn't see him Game 2.
Right, but he was there for Game 1.
He
He
was.
was there for game 1.
He was there for game
He'll
one.
be there. He'll be there.
Well,
this
he's always
next
in the
game.
Garden.
You know what I'm saying? He'll be there the next game for sure.
Yeah.
And also, every time we do our Cleveland Browns talk, our Browns talk is brought to you by Lincoln Electric, who are now hiring right now for great jobs.
Where do you think Spike Lee stays when he's in Cleveland? Or do you think Spike Lee just got on his private jet and flew back
He
to New
probably
York?
stayed at the Hilton, right there, right next to the Justice
Ritz-Carlton.
Center.
You don't? Do you think he stayed here overnight, or do you think he flew back as soon as the game was over? He's probably got a private jet, right?
No.
Spike Lee doesn't have a private
I
jet.
don't think so.
No, that's
You don't think Spike Lee?
that's too
think
much
so.
maintenance, man.
Man, it's 20-year-old rappers with private jets. He got a private jet.
I think the 20-year-old rappers is out there. I think they perked out.
What was Spike Lee's last movie, by the way? I can't think of a Spike Lee's movie recently.
I can't
Does
think
anybody
of none
know?
either.
I feel like I got to look that up.
Hey man, Tybus,
Do the right thing.
that's a lot of money for a
A
private
lot of
jet.
movies is Do the Right Thing the best Spike Lee movie ever?
I think Crooklyn is probably his best.
Kirkland is a class.
I don't know that I saw Crooklyn.
Wow.
I'm surprised.
That's an
you haven't
older
seen it.
one.
Yeah.
It
Who's
is.
in
It's
Crooklyn?
Um,
Do we even know? Did I see Crooklyn?
you definitely seen
This is
Crooklyn.
probably not appropriate for right now.
I like He Got Game.
Oh, he made Black Klansman?
Oh, that was his movie? I didn't realize that. Crooklyn, 1994. So it's not that old.
She's got to have it.
Alfre Woodard, Delroy Lindo. I like him, Delroy
Oh,
Lindo.
boy.
Well, anyway.
So really
Do
quick,
the right thing is my Spike Lee.
really quickly.
Yeah.
According to Celebrity Net Worth,
Yeah.
Spike Lee is worth $60 million. However, the cheapest jet that you can buy, a mid-size economy jet, a private one, is about $18 million.
He ain't got those. Maybe, but he could afford. He's only worth $60 million. I would have guessed he was worth more
And
than
the
that.
cost of
Poor
maintenance.
Spike, only worth $60 million.
Yeah, listen, he's the working poor, right?
All right, so let's switch it up and okay, go ahead, Earl. So we have some quotes or clips from some of these guys.
So we got some.
I know Greg Newsome spoke yesterday and talked about he was upset about people saying he wants to get traded. Honestly, there was an article in Pro Football to talk about that too. I don't care if he wanted to get traded or not. He doesn't. He's not making a thing of it publicly, so who cares? If he privately said he wanted to be traded, do you care? I don't care.
I was on Twitter. I said, he came back and was like, yeah, I really want to be here. I was like, hey, man, good to have you, dog.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome on back.
Unless the player is actively saying publicly he wants to be traded, I don't care. Who cares?
And even if he's good and he's still productive and he goes to practice and he's not punching people,
right.
I still don't care.
That's what I'm saying.
I still don't care.
He can request it all he wants as long as he's performing.
But like
I don't
they wrote
really
an
care.
article about it. People are still debating about Brad. Leave Brad Stainbrook alone. He doesn't need to apologize anymore. Brad, you don't need to. I don't know if you watched the show, but you don't need to apologize. Who cares? Nobody cares. There's probably 20 players on every football team in America that would like to be on another team. Who cares?
And then you get the thing for, I think Pro Football Talk came
Yeah,
out.
right.
And somebody was like, he definitely wanted to trade. So
They switched agents for a reason.
Yeah,
We get it. But he's not. If he's not talking about it publicly, then it's not going to be a factor.
I thought he was. Didn't he go on? G New go on Twitter and say
He didn't want to play the slot. Or
no? He said when they put that Pro Football came out with the
right.
article, he retweeted that and said like y'all just looking for stories. Or
Didn't
something.
you? I think he said something like, "Did you not watch my press conference?"
Yeah, that's it. Something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It's really not. Yeah.
Well, here's one of the quotes from G New yesterday.
Okay, let's see.
Check this one out. Let us know what you think.
no role is stamped with his scheme. If you watch his corners before, everybody plays everything. I'm just super excited to get with my teammates, get ready for this season. So, okay. So what basically he's saying is that in Jim Schwartz's system, the corners move around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he basically saying that
It doesn't matter.
if it don't matter if you play outside or inside. Everybody in this scheme is gonna play either outside or inside. They probably get matched up every game, and wherever that guy goes, that's where you got to be. So if I'm checking Tyreek Hill and he playing in the X, I got him. If he go to the slot, I'm still gonna be on him.
Guys, my guess is that Greg Newsome didn't want to be pigeonholed as a slot corner.
Yeah, because for the money.
And Jim Schwartz probably went to him and said, hey, listen, in my system, everybody does everything.
Yeah.
I need 3 great corners. I need you. You're going to be great in this system. And Greg Newsome was probably like, hell yeah, I'm in.
Speaking of Jim Schwartz, this is more Greg Newsome on Schwartz.
Oh, yeah. I think you can just tell by everybody coming back. We have all our guys here super excited, ready to go. He's been part of Super Bowl defenses, so I think we're super excited.
Yeah, like Jim Schwartz, when you hear him talk and the way he talks about how he was a dude back in the day, just being a dude that used to go for Bill Belichick and different things and just staying in, just creating different things. I got some tape where he's talking to the coaches at seminars and he's talking about all the different wrinkles that they got and how they try to do things. Sometimes, man, when you get a new coach in, and I don't know, did you guys switch any coordinators or anything while you was at Ohio State?
Yes.
So you can tell by this when there's certain guys that maybe if you're not playing, the coaches previous to you had a certain level of guys that they wanted, right? Mm-hmm. They liked him for some reason. You felt like, man, this dude ain't even nice like that. Why is he playing over me?
Yeah.
Then you get a new coach, right? And then that first week you go to practice, you get there, and the first week the coach said, I ain't got no picks.
Yep.
And everybody starts over.
Yep.
The guys that were starting, that is the most uncomfortable feeling in the world because you know how hard it is to now prove yourself again. And you can get the minutes took. I think Jim Schwartz told him, like, look, bro, come in and do your thing. I don't even know who Martin Emerson is right now. Like, come do your thing.
Yeah, that's true to a certain extent. I mean, you got the tape, and the tape don't lie. And the thing about G New that he got over everybody is that he does have the ability to play in the slot. So they're going to start off with the 2 corners, and if they do assign it as you got this man for this game, he got the edge because he'll probably do the best if his guy does go to the slot, which they're probably going to assign him guys that go to the slot anyway because that will be his strong suit. But at the end of the day, Jim Schwartz, if it's all about coverage, he probably, look, I need guys that can cover. I don't care if you play inside or outside. I just need you to cover, and I need this line to come together. And like I say, they're going to take care of him no matter what.
Yeah.
If he stays and does what he's supposed to do and be productive, he going to have the numbers to back it up, and they're going to take care of him.
Because here, fiscally and financially, why would you waste an asset? Like, like you were a first-round pick. Why would I then put all this time, resources, and money into you just for you to get to this 5th year and be like, yeah, we're gonna let him go in free agency?
No.
You can't do that.
Right,
like,
right.
Especially if you know he can play. We got problems with guys that it was 3rd-round picks, 2nd
Right.
round that can't play.
Well, the Browns used to do that for years because they would draft guys in the 1st round that sucked and weren't worth signing.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's the key. I mean, your key is your 1st-round picks pan out and then you lock them up.
Yeah.
And that's what the Browns should do.
And I mean, and then on top of that, I got to issue this challenge out to Martin Emerson. I mean, Martin Emerson had a really good rookie season. It was really good, better than anybody thought that he would do.
Yeah.
But it was other corners in that draft also that had better seasons. So
back it up.
And they're all young. Like the top corners in the game right now, you got the Patrick Surtains, you got Sauce Gardner. Like these guys is young.
Yeah.
So he got to step his game up even
Eli
more.
Apple, of course.
No.
I mean, he's a legend. You got to step his game up even more because how you get paid is based off of all pros. Like, you got to be all pro, but now you got these young guys who's becoming first team and that's eating up the first team and second team all pro. So this guy has to step his game up immediately. So he needs to do better and get on the field and become a guy that's an every down corner so he can get paid when it's time for him to come. Because he only got to wait 4 years. See, Greg knew they could pick up a 5th-year option. He got to wait 4 years, and they got to do something.
I'm gonna ask you about this dude because when he came out, I thought he was gonna be that deal. Like, what went wrong in Detroit with Jeff Okudah?
Oh man!
Like he number.
I thought he was gonna be that deal.
I thought he was gonna be
total boss.
Listen, he was.
He had moments. Now he's dealt with injury. That's one thing, so that derailed him a little bit. But he had moments last season where he made plays, so he gave you enough flashes that he got it. But it was something with him and the coaching staff because you remember him and the coach got into it on the sideline and all that. So I don't think he was either. They just didn't buy into him because it wasn't like they selected him.
It was a different coach.
It was a different coach, so he's not their guy.
By the way, he's not the biggest 1st-round bust in recent Buckeye history. That would be Billy Price. He sucks.
Is
Billy Price? Isn't he with?
Was
the
he a 2nd-round pick?
No, Billy was a 1st-round pick.
1st-round pick by the Bengals at center.
Yeah.
One of the few picks the Bengals have gotten wrong in recent years.
I thought people was acting like he was the next Mangold.
And he was terrible. And then the Bengals
he won the thing. He won the best center in college.
He was terrible.
Actually the Buckeyes
couldn't
won it
stay healthy.
back-to-back.
He was terrible. The Bengals traded him to the Giants for B.J. Hill, who's turned into a decent defensive tackle.
Yeah.
But now he's been bouncing around like practice squads. But here's one other thing before we move on. Who else you got quotes from?
We got Miles and Deshaun Watson. I had a question for Tyvus, but go ahead.
Let me ask you this, guys. And you and I have been talking about this for a long time. The Browns, really as a franchise, but especially on defense, they have been soft as baby poop for years.
Yes.
Right?
You told the Browns?
Yes.
The Browns.
Okay.
What did I say?
That's what I'm just clearing it up.
Because we have a lot of soft teams.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
But, like, really on both sides of the ball, but especially on defense, they have been a soft-ass team.
Yeah.
And, like, my hope is that Jim Schwartz is going to help bring the dog out of some of these guys. Because, like, even Myles Garrett to some degree, like, J.J. Watt's I think Myles Garrett, talent-wise, I believe he's as good as anybody. But he's not as nasty as some of these other guys.
Let me be fair on this, okay? We got to be fair. It's not Joe Wood's defense isn't an aggressive defense.
Right.
So if the defense isn't required for you to be aggressive, then obviously the attitude.
But it's not just that, Tyvus. It's like they get pushed around. They don't like. I want somebody like. Like when even going back to like Colt McCoy getting his ass kicked, and like the Browns are never like we need guys that are not afraid to kick some ass.
I agree with you. I agree with that's in all of football.
Yeah.
That's in all of sports.
You gotta have some mean ass.
You have to have a guy on your team that'll stab somebody in the club.
That's right.
You need that.
I think what happened to Myles Garrett was if you go back, I want to say about 2017, 2018, around that area. Myles Garrett was getting a lot of personal fouls.
He
They
were calling him a dirty player.
Yeah, they was calling him a dirty player.
Yeah.
Then he had the Mason Rudolph thing. And
please refer to him by his proper nickname, the Great Kazoo.
The Great Kazoo with his big head.
Yeah.
He beat him. He beat him down with his own helmet. So Myles Garrett was like, you know what? He was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and fall back. They try to suspend. By the way, that's corny. I saw Aaron Donald beat somebody to death almost in practice
against the Bengals.
Against the Bengals.
Yeah.
And he got nothing.
Nothing.
Zero.
People were calling Myles Garrett the worst of names when that happened. And Aaron Donald was like, oh, it's just practice. Like, it's okay to beat somebody with a helmet in practice, but not in a game. What's the difference?
And we not about to act. I don't even know if I was on. I don't even know if I was popping back then. We not about to act like you didn't hear what Myles Garrett said. We just, I don't know. When he say that, what Mason Rudolph said, he surely would.
A racial slur?
Yeah, he surely would. It happens a lot. I was just watching the news the other day. At the end of the day, I think Myles Garrett was like, I'm going to calm down.
That suspension was, looking back, he should have been suspended one game.
That's it.
And Aaron Donald should have been
how long did he got
the
suspended for the rest of the
season? It was like 5-6 games.
It's because it was on nationally televised.
Right. And Baker Mayfield pulled a trash move by jumping up on the screen. Trash move. And people, y'all back him for that too. You guys back him, and I'm gonna go off on a little bit, but you guys back him for that.
I did not back Baker for that.
I said no. Y'all said they go off on you.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying I backed Baker. No,
y'all be backing. Y'all backed him all the way to the. I say,
who is y'all?
A lot of the fans.
Did they really?
And a lot of media members.
They talking about.
Everybody. Baker ripped Myles Garrett, which was totally out of line.
Before they even talked to him.
And by the way, what gets forgotten also about Baker is fans were backing him even more so on the Duke Johnson thing.
Yeah, he was calling the man's money out.
Yeah.
He needed to get. I said, this dude.
We should have known about Baker then.
This guy, get him up out of here. Say, I digress, but we is kind of soft. I'm over Schwartz. I like the fact that he said they excited. They excited to play. Yeah. They were not excited to play for Joe Woods at all.
No.
Like, the fact that Jadeveon Clowney just told his defensive coordinator.
That cracks me up.
That is.
I can't believe he pulled that.
And they let him do it.
And they went to him and was like,
they said he did say he was hurt. He said he was injured.
Can you play on third down for us just this one time against the back? I'm like, where's Clowney at? Who would have known
that? I mean, that about sums up the Browns for the last 20 years.
That's crazy.
I mean, it really does. It's time for that nonsense to be out of here.
What if you'd have told Urban Meyer, I ain't going in, but except on pass plays, I ain't feeling no alley.
Is he telling them on the field or when off the field and Urban's a little busy?
That's crazy. If you went up and told him
during the game,
I ain't playing on no rundowns.
You would have said, you know what, you ain't playing on no down. Go take your stuff up and go to the locker room.
And that's what they should have said to him.
Don't worry about playing on no downs. Take your stuff up and go to the locker room.
And he might have Urban Meyer is notorious for making people go to school in the summer without no scholarly check.
Now,
he definitely would have pulled his
random jack.
This is the first time I've ever said this. In fairness to Urban, or really in fairness to Joe Woods, Urban's got talent throughout the whole roster where the Browns did not.
He got like eight, 9 dudes that's ready to go.
What did you want to ask me, Earl?
Yeah, so question for you. You were talking about G. New playing in the slot.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing you say on several different occasions that you felt like Denzel Ward was better suited to be the slot corner. Do you still feel that way?
I do, actually. I think that Denzel has – first of all, Denzel has been paid. Okay,
right.
So
who cares?
So
right?
yeah. So he don't really.
Yeah.
It's not a money issue with him because he's already paid. But I think I like his athleticism. I think he bends well. Obviously, he's got some clinic tape on doing what we call Chet Moeller. That's when you slide under the guard and come around and make the tackle. He did that so many times on pulling guards. It's ridiculous. So he'll be able to get around those blocks. But I think movement-wise, he's quick enough to move with those slot receivers in those slots. And then it allows Martin and G. New to be on the outside to make those plays. Right. But the fact of the matter is this, and I've seen this in the chat going on where they were talking about, G. New don't get interceptions. And interceptions do get you paid, 1,000%. But it is becoming –
shouldn't, though.
It's becoming a new day and age where it's about coverage. Yes. Now, to be in the Hall of Fame, you need about 50 picks to get in. That's about minimum. Revis changed that because he just got in.
And you needed about 10 to go back to the house.
Yeah, Revis changed that because he's just broke the mold. I think he had like 30-something picks in his career, but he just got into the Hall of Fame. But it's a new day where, corners just not getting their hands on the balls like that as much anymore. So you don't really need that.
Who was the leading interception guy?
That's what I'm saying. It was it was a down year last year for that. So you don't necessarily need the picks, but you just need to be productive on the ball. PBUs matter. That's something big.
Yes.
I don't know what G-New's PBUs was last year, but he need to get his hands on the ball. And we know Martin does a great job of getting his hands on the ball.
What happened? Well, I think they play it different now. Like, the guys that get picks be gambling. Right? Like, they be like, nah, I'm going to just try to jump this or
that's what you got to do.
But what happened to bump and run coverage? What happened to that? I don't see it.
It's still there.
I don't see it.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Me and Sherm had talked about this. So, because me and Sherm is bump and run guy. That's all we was taught was bump and run. But the problem is the DB's ball skills is becoming a lost art. When the ball is in there, it's in college, it's all over the place where these DBs aren't getting their heads around to make plays on the ball. So what do? You pull them off the ball. You make them play off. So now when I play off, I can see the quarterback the whole time. So now I can see if he's taking a 3-step, 5-step drop. If he's taking a 3-step drop, it's quick game. I know I can stop my pedal and I can get ready to jump something. If it's 5 steps, you're getting something deeper developing. So I need to get ready to check this dig, this fade, this comeback, something like that. But they need to see the ball come out the quarterback's hands so they can drive it and make plays on the ball. It's taking the fact of, instead of bump and run, if I get beat off the line, I'm playing catch up the whole time, and I can't look back for the ball until I get a hand-hip relationship to be able to play the ball. And these receivers are so good and so fast that they're not getting there. And by the time they get there, the ball is coming, so they got to play the hands. Denzel does it a lot. He actually plays through the hands. He barely looks back for the ball.
I'm like, man, I grew up watching Deion. And that's all he ran. He'd be right next to you, and then all of a sudden it'd be
Deion ran 4-1 too.
Yeah, so and it'd be
Can't compare anybody to Deion.
Sorry, let me get the camera. I'm sorry, that was dumb as hell. As a person who's supposed to know football, why would you bring up Prime's name like that and with some other dudes? I'm sorry.
That's like saying, like, why can't everybody else play like LeBron?
Why didn't you just take over the game?
Yeah. Earl, let's hear a quote from. What's that?
I said G is high.
My bad.
That was an Earl.
That's right. In fairness to G, that wasn't as bad as yours.
Damn.
As Donovan Mitchell being better than LeBron. Earl did not say Donovan Mitchell was better than LeBron, but he said, anyway, let's see if Myles Garrett cut. Did Myles Garrett say anything interesting?
Yeah,
I'm curious about the Watson comment.
He's talking about, again, Schwartz and people being motivated to come in the building and play.
Guys are hungry, ready to work, already talking about getting some extra work done. Just trying to get 1% better. Right?
Well, I mean, that's the good thing about that is that, once you get a new coach in there, that does change the culture. You want to, obviously they seen what happened last year. It was a Achilles heel for this team last year. So they want to make sure that they strengthen that up, and having a new coach in there, bringing some new energy is the right way to get to that. Now, once the season gets going, they'll find out if they can really trust Jim Schwartz, which I'm sure they will be able to. Obviously, he got Super Bowl experience. But the question will be adjustments, in-game adjustments. That's something we didn't see last year from Joe Woods.
No.
They was killing us on something, and we just continued to run. We run.
No.
When we get into these games, we get into these preseason. They probably ain't going to do it in the preseason. But when we get into this season, once an offense gets some success on something, does Jim Schwartz draw something up to change it up to nip it in the bud? When he does that, now you got this team, like you got their heart. They'll listen to everything you say because you fixed it and it's something new that we haven't seen.
And that's what the best DCs do.
Exactly.
And that's what the guy has had a lot of success for a lot of years for a reason.
Yeah.
So I assume he's really good at that. I think it's
a
fair assumption.
You can't win the Super Bowl if you don't make adjustments.
No, absolutely not. All right, go ahead, Earl. What do we got? Deshaun?
All right, the last one is on Deshaun, and I believe this quote is about the critics, the haters, the people who always have something to say.
I didn't say anything.
I don't say anything.
Oh, I don't say thank you. That's their own opinions. I know who I am. The organization knows who I am. At the end of the day, I have the opportunity to prove myself. Is that all we got from him, or we got something else?
That's all we got from him.
Okay. Listen. Tomorrow's going to be interesting, by the way. I'm going to be on a panel discussion tomorrow at the Jewish Community Center in Beechwood. Mm-hmm. There is a panel. I'll tie it into Myles Garrett. It sounds like I don't know where I'm going with this, but I will. So, or not Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson. And on this panel is a few sports people from the area, and we're talking. It's brought to you by the Jewish News. It's live sports talk. It's me and Jonathan Peterlin and Goldhammer, and
Andy Baskin coming?
Baskin's. Les Levine used to be the MC.
Yeah.
And Andy's the new MC, Andy Baskin. So it'll be me, Jonathan Goldhammer, and Mark. What's his name? Bishop? Mark Munch?
Mm-hmm. I didn't know Mark Bishop was Jewish.
He ain't Jewish.
Okay.
Neither is Jonathan, but they're on the panel anyway.
Okay, all right.
Jonathan's Jewish adjacent because his wife's Jewish.
Yes, his wife. So
and,
he got.
And now his daughter's Jewish.
Yeah, okay, I got that.
Yeah,
So that counts. That counts.
He counts. So he's Jewish adjacent.
Yep.
But
Jewish adjacent.
I believe Munch is one of those guys like Greg Brinda who, if you say anything about rooting for the Browns with Deshaun Watson, will tell you you're a scumbag. And if he tries that with me tomorrow, there will be some fireworks. Trust me.
We about to set it off.
And so I don't know what he's going to do. But here's the thing: like when it comes to Watson, we can't complain about the haters. Okay, that's the deal.
Yep.
You get into trouble off the field. I get you want to argue it's an accusation, whatever. There's a lot of accusations, and he settled. So you can choose to believe whatever you want. Yep. I've said it a million times. None of us know for sure. You can choose to believe he's a total scumbag. You can choose to believe he's a minor scumbag. It got overblown. You could choose to believe he made some bad choices. You could choose to believe he's been railroaded. Whatever you want to believe in your head, that's fine. Do whatever the hell you want. But two things. Number one, he's got to know, and the defender's got to know, that a lot of people hate him. And we can't whine and cry about it. That's part of the deal that he's got to deal with. Number two, I decided personally, you don't have to decide this. This is what I've decided for me a few years ago, because I used to feel differently about this. That there's a bad guy on every football team, every baseball team, every hockey team, every political party, every office. There's always going to be a couple of bad guys, okay? If I decide I can't root for a football team because I don't like a player on it, well, I can't root for any team because I can find a jerk on every single team in every single sport in the planet. So I can say, well, I don't like what Deshaun Watson's been accused of. Who does? Nobody likes what he's been accused of. My personal belief at this point of what he did, what he didn't do is irrelevant, so I'm not even going to bring it up. But I cannot in theory, or you or anybody else can say, I don't think Deshaun Watson's a great person. You can say that. But he's on my football team. I'm going to root for him. I can separate player and person. And if that's what you want to do to watch football, that's fine. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's what most people do. He doesn't have to be my best friend. He's on my football team. But to say I should, for other people to tell me that I can't root for him because you think he's a bad guy or he may actually be a bad guy, well, F you. I don't care what you think. Don't get in my business. If you don't want to root for him or the team because of it, then good for you. You do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do either. But don't tell me what I'm going to do. And so F that. But Deshaun Watson, I think the answer is fine because he can't worry about what other people are saying because there's always going to be people saying crappy things about him. He's got to be able to deal with that physically, mentally, and kick ass on the football field. And the more he kicks ass on the football field, the more that stuff's going to go away. But until he does it, he's going to keep hearing it, and there's nothing he can do. So don't fight it.
Before I go, Earl, you had your hand up.
Like that right there is called talking that talk and standing on it. I agree with everything Boy just said. We have a lot of talks, G. I'm like you, boy. People got a right to feel how they want to feel about people, but I didn't grow up idolizing athletes and entertainers. And it's hard for me to say I don't like people that I really don't personally know.
Right.
But to each his own. If that make y'all sleep good at night, go ahead, do what y'all do.
Fine. Don't force me to like a guy I don't like. Don't force me to dislike a guy I like. Don't force me to not root for someone. You do your thing. And to me, it's just like religion. Believe whatever the hell you want, just don't tell me about it.
I told this changed my life a little bit. I was, at once upon a time, I was really heavy into like politics and, but people, whether it's the left or right, people used to do stuff to get on my nerves, and I used to hate it. I used to write these long posts, and then one day, it just dawned on me like, this stuff been going on for years. Yeah. Like, this ain't nothing new. Like, they gonna do that and they gonna continue to do that. My thing is, instead of writing them posts, doing all that other stuff, like, how you gonna change people's lives? What do you do? So, First time I went and started going to correctional facilities, talking to these young kids that's in there that's doing 25 to life, or guys in there that's doing 10 years, they 16. The thought process is Donald Trump or Joe Biden don't exist in there. And them walls, 25 years to life, and that's all they dealing with is time. And how you gonna be able to go in there and try to tell them, okay, you getting out, here's what you can do to get out, here's some advice, here's some job skills. These people that don't affect them. So there's a lot of different things in your life that you're not gonna like. But at the end of the day, what are you gonna do to make your own little positive stamp on what you can control? I can't control nothing about Deshaun Watson. I can't control nothing with no politicians. At the end of the day, I watch the Browns, I talk about the Browns, and he's on the squad. And he said it best. I love to hear what you just said. Some of y'all not gonna like me, but guess what? I have an opportunity. I got an opportunity to prove myself, and we all have that.
By the way, the guys you've spoken to in prison, are they able to, I don't even know if you know this, but are they able to listen to your show on the radio? Are they able to watch this show? Do they have that kind of access?
Depending on what their behavior is like. The people who have great behavior have access to internet, have access to YouTube. Those who are, choose not, because, by the way, they really still be going at it with each other inside. There's always something going on, even when you're inside. They tell you got to keep your head on a swivel because they'll have a code, something, and you see people with, mad correction officers going into one cell. So it's always you got to keep that on a swivel. But yeah.
Friendly reminder that our 12 o'clock lunch hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to you by Call It Racing, the official NASCAR team of Northeast Ohio.
Go ahead, Tyvus.
No, I think y'all all hit it pretty good. The only thing I would say about it is that, Deshaun Watson he got other things right now to be thinking about. Right now, he owes this franchise. They paid him some money. He has to do his job and make sure he's the best. He loves the game of football, and he wants to be, nobody plays this game just to play it. I'm sure he wants to be great at it. Yeah. He wants to get back to being that guy, and that's the challenge that he has for himself. He can't be worried about what's going on, what people are saying about him. He's got 52 other guys on that team that's dependent on him to be that guy that he once was. And if this group is as tight as they say they are, or they're going to be, he don't want to let them down. He understands that his coach's job is on the line this year.
GM's job's on the line.
Exactly. Everybody's job is on the line,
no doubt.
Whether he does well or not.
That's right.
He's got this relationship, and they've taken a chance on him, as people want to say, and they've looked out for him and looked out for his best interests. He owes them his heart and his soul. They at least go out there and play passionate. And I think the only way to get back to that is to practice and have a clear mind and just focus on my guys, being good for my guys. And I'm sure the people on the Browns are there for him and supporting him and all of that. So, I think his quote is exactly right.
Did you see this, Earl, and the rest of your guys? Nick Chubb, there was something out a couple of days ago about the best fantasy players, right? The best fantasy players coming out. They didn't put him in the top 10.
Yeah.
Well,
that was running backs.
Here's the thing, guys. Nick Chubb is a better, and maybe we should, you know what, my opinion, we'll do this. I think would blow off Draymond because we already talked about it a little bit, and we should do the Damar Hamlin on overtime. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, because it's already 12:47.
Let's do that.
And G just brought up an interesting point. The thing about fantasy is people get and if that pisses Nick Chubb off, good. Let him be.
You're right.
I think one thing we know about Nick Chubb, he doesn't need any motivation.
Right.
That guy plays his ass off every minute he's on the field. However, if that pisses him off and makes him even better, so be it.
Is he a good fantasy
But he is
guy?
not. He is.
He's not top tier.
He is a much better NFL player than he is a fantasy player, and the reason for that is because he doesn't catch a lot of passes. The running backs that catch passes are more valuable because most people these days play point per reception. And so if you catch passes, you're more valuable as a fantasy player. Now, he is more touchdown dependent.
Yes.
Now, he's pretty reliable with his touchdowns year to year.
That's why you could justify taking him.
Right. He's still a good player, and I think people were like, you saw what's his name, the kid who's going to be the rookie running back.
Oh, Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson.
That's why he was salty.
Right.
He's like,
what?
come on.
Nick Chubb addressed it?
No, yes, he addressed it on the internet.
But
really? I didn't see this.
But the thing is, and Nick Chubb's not paying attention to fantasy. He don't give a shit about that. But like Bijan, first of all, it's weird that you'd have Bijan Robinson in the top 10 because we don't know what team he's going to be on.
Yeah,
I got to know what team he's on before I know. But nobody actually thinks Bijan Robinson is a better NFL running back right now than Nick Chubb. But Bijan Robinson could potentially be a better fantasy back this year. I think part of it's because a big part is Nick Chubb doesn't catch the ball much. But also, I think a lot of people think the Browns are going to become much more pass-heavy this year.
Yep.
And so, we'll see. But I still think Nick Chubb's going to have a lot of touchdowns.
I do too. I think Nick Chubb finally is starting to he's starting to figure this thing out. Like,
yeah. Nick Chubb, man.
I think he's starting.
Here's what Nick Chubb said. I wonder what excuses they'll come. Everybody loves Nick Chubb, but I like that he's a little angry. And
I like
feisty.
that.
Yeah.
I think he's taking the bull by the reins. He's like, listen, man, y'all cats been marginalizing me a little bit. Y'all acting like I ain't nice. I think he might even take Nick Chubb probably feels like he can catch the ball too. He probably feel like, well, I just haven't had the opportunity. Kareem Hunt was here.
Yeah.
That was his role.
No, he caught screens last year, towards the end of the year.
But even in college, he wasn't a guy. He wasn't catching a ton of passes.
No. And even in college, Nick Chubb has always been splitting carries.
Yes.
So I think maybe it's to a point where he's like, maybe he wants to be known as a dude like, hey, I want my Derrick Henry year. I want my 1,900. I want my 2,000 yards.
I think he's going to, I still think he's going to get a lot of carries.
You think he's going to get $2 billion? Two bills?
I ain't say I said what he won.
If Deshaun Watson throws for 4,500 and Nick Chubb has 1,800, then we're talking. But the bottom line is with Deshaun Watson, guys, is that you just said it, Tyvis, and I just want to follow up on that real quick because this season is all about Deshaun Watson. We can talk about the defensive line and the linebackers.
Yep.
The Browns got talent, okay? The roster minus quarterback may not be the best in the league, but it's closer to the best than it is to the worst.
Yeah.
I think we all know that.
Yes.
If Deshaun Watson is the Houston Deshaun Watson, the Browns should win a lot of games and at the very least be in the playoff mix, if not a playoff team. And if he plays like the guy we saw last year, they're not going to be good and everybody's going to get fired.
Yeah.
I think we'd all bet he's going to be closer to the Houston guy than he was the Cleveland guy. But as you've said, G, he can't just be a little better than he was last year. He's got to be at least the Houston guy.
Yeah, at least
But if he's the Houston guy with more talent around him here, because obviously Nick Chubb's better than anybody's had, he's got a good group of wide receivers. He doesn't have a DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, but he's got a good, solid group of pass catchers. He's got the talent. He's got a good offensive line. If they're healthy, the offensive line should be really good again. If he plays to the level he's capable of, the Browns will be really good and they'll win a lot of games. And listen, when Ben Roethlisberger retired, nobody was talking about the off-the-field stuff because he had won a ton of games and won a Super Bowl, and he had stayed out of further trouble as far as we know. And he had a bad reputation amongst people that cover the team of being a jerk, which Deshaun Watson does not have that reputation.
It says right here, this is from NFL.com, it says Watson said on Tuesday that the year in Cleveland has made a big difference. Honestly, it's night and day, he told reporters. He talked about last year was a whirlwind, but it was a good learning lesson for myself. And for me to be able to grow. Coming in this year, I'm ahead of the game where I was previously. And he just talks about how much more comfortable he is, doing what he thinks he said.
Yeah.
I think.
Now, in the end, G, none of that talking matters. He's got to do it on the field.
No.
But it's fair to say it's the first time in 3 years that he's had a normal offseason.
Yeah, well, even when he came last year, he didn't say nothing about feeling good. He was just like, I'm going to go. I'm going to show up and see what happens.
Right.
Now
but it was all new. He got traded.
Well, he had a lot.
He knew he was going to get suspended.
He had a whole cloud over his head last year.
They couldn't fully commit to him as the guy because you knew Jacoby was going to play. Yeah. And now it's all about Deshaun Watson. It's all about and he's got to make it pay off. What's that?
To Bull's point. So it's funny because, I'm going to let the fans inside of what we go through upstairs in the production room pre-show. We get the emails from the Browns about the guys who are going to speak.
Yeah.
And me, McNuggets, and Anthony said to each other yesterday, we're pretty sure Deshaun Watson is going to speak.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he's speaking at a voluntary workout versus not being able to speak at all last year, it just shows a sense of normalcy. Like, it's normal for your star quarterback to speak during situations like this.
100%. I'm just saying what he says in terms, I'm feeling better, is more. In the end, that doesn't matter. It'll be proven by how he plays on the field. But I do agree with that point, that the fact that, he's speaking, I don't know if he got any questions still about the off-the-field stuff. I'm not sure. So I didn't hear the whole press conference. But I think at this point, like, our media's already asked all that stuff. What's there left to say? So at this point, it's all about football. We're not – at this time last year, right, all we were thinking about is for months, how many games? How many games? And then even if after he got suspended, it was still, well, there's an appeal. And it was just hanging over them. That's gone. That's all over.
And I think the cool thing about it is that when that ain't hanging over your head, you know, so people will use that against you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you come out and aggressive, they talking about, now think about it. All last year, he needs to be rehabilitated. Like, I'm like, rehabilitated is like an incarceration word. You saying it like this man need to come, like, figure out what the counseling and all this other stuff. And so if you come out and show that aggression, it's like, well, look, see, I told you he was aggressive. Just I don't think he should be doing that. I don't think he should be talking. He should be. Now this year, you can come out and you can play football. You can get your guys together. They know you. You've been in the building. And now you can really go out now and play with that intention to really embarrass people. Now you can't. Hey, listen, we don't care about nothing like what happened last year. You can't stop me now. I'm about to smoke you, right? That's just what we talk about.
Think about it from this perspective. I think something that I certainly didn't take into account last year, I don't know about you guys, was the mental hurdles you got to get over, right? Think about it. If you're spending your entire offseason, first you're getting traded, then you're thinking about 22 cases. You might have to go to court. You might not go to court. At one point, there was still that ended quickly, but at one point, you could have gone to jail.
It could have gone to jail.
So all this is hanging over, and the things didn't get settled for for a while, and plus you're going to a new place. I got to move to Cleveland. I got to do this. I got to do that. And now that's all behind him. Yeah, he's still got 2 cases out there, but there's no criminal. That's totally off the board. These things will be dealt with. And, like, he can now just fully focus on being football and getting that cockiness, that edge, that attitude, that whatever you want to call it. He's got to get that back. That moxie. Yeah. He needs that back now. Swag. He needs his swag back.
It's like this, Ty.
The Monstar stole his talent.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, like, as he's going through this, your family life is screwed. So you talking about how much money you going to lose. Like, you trying to figure out new people in the locker room. You ain't never really lived here. And on top of that, due to what the allegations are, you still got to try to work your relationship out. Like, think about that. Like, if you trying to work your relationship out with somebody, and that's on TV every single day.
It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. I mean, the game of football, just learning the playbook, learning the new system, all of that is tough. But to have all that piled on, it's overwhelming for anybody to just deal with by themselves, and they got to go through it by themselves. Like, it's a lot. So it is a nice, fresh start for him. Like I said, he needs it, and like I said, the Browns do a great job of showing him, giving him love and support, and his teammates just being there. You know how good it feels to know, like, hey, we got your back, bro. Right. No matter what, we got your back. To have that, like, that makes a lot of things easier. At the end of the day, to know that I can go look at my brothers in the face and know that no matter what happens, they still got my back. That's what you need in those times.
I need 5,000 now that Tyler said that.
Yeah. Earl, I got one more thing I wanted to hit on, but tell me about Kaulig Racing first.
All right, as always, it is the noon lunch hour here, and Kaulig Racing is the official NASCAR team of Northeast Ohio and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Go ahead, boy.
Guys, one other thing I'm not sure if you guys talked about this yesterday. I don't remember exactly what time it happened, but a very sad story about a former Brown, Chris Smith.
Yeah.
Chris Smith was a defensive lineman who played he bounced around the league, but he played for the Browns for a little bit. And when Chris was here in Cleveland, he came on our show a couple times. I thought he was a really nice guy. I don't know if you ever met him.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. Folks may or may not remember, he had a very tragic story even before he died. Yeah. His girlfriend, remember, she had just given birth, I think very soon, and then his girlfriend died in a car accident.
Got hit on the highway, I think.
Awful.
Yeah. I think they were standing outside of the car or something, and a car
I don't remember the details, but now that you say that.
He had a flat tire. I think they were waiting on AAA or something. They were right here on I-90, West 140th.
That's right, and his girlfriend got killed.
The passenger side door was open. Somebody kind of swerved. Hit the door, hit her. She died hours later at Fairview Hospital.
And now Chris has died. I don't know if the details are out about what happened to him.
I didn't see it.
But he's a young man. I mean, he's in his 30s.
And they got a kid, right?
They got a young daughter. Very sad. Again, I don't know. I didn't know Chris very well. I met him in person a couple times, and I always thought he was a nice guy in my experiences with him. I was really sad to hear this news yesterday.
Yeah, man, it's rough for me because it's just I don't know, and I'm not boiling it down to race or anything, but I just it's different when you see it's always hard being successful African American male and for you to make it to the pinnacle and die at 31.
Yeah,
every time it hit me like
him at 31. I mean, like, I don't know if he was still playing or not. He was in the XFL, so like he was still doing what he loved, and health-wise, obviously he got to be good to be able to pass physicals and stuff. So I don't know what it is, but when I got the news and I seen it, I was sad. I told my wife because I had to explain to her who he was.
Yeah.
And to deal with that, I feel horrible for the daughter because like
It's just terrible.
like that's.
Did you know him by any chance,
I
for any
did not.
reason?
I didn't cross paths with him when I
Yeah.
was in Cleveland.
What a shame.
And that's anybody. Like that's anybody who's gone through those things. But it just tells you sometimes you don't be living in a moment like that. Sometimes you work a lot.
Can end at any time.
But you better live every second right today, not tomorrow, because you don't know when your time up, man. And it's just it's sad, but that's just a note for us.
Thanks to everybody for joining us. We'll talk in Damar Hamlin on Overtime next.